What is up, everybody? Oh god, it's more Summer 3. So I played a good bit last night, and I got a decent amount done, but I haven't really played any today because I was lazy. But hey, we're at it now. That song is called Precious Park. Alright, let's grab some FP here. Well, let's see. We pretty much, I think we got one more CE to get from this shop, I think. And then we gotta get the Ascension item for Jolter, and then we can do whatever the fuck. Dude, I'm kind of bored, man. Like, I realized this. JP hasn't added any new content in like I don't know, 2.5 months. Like, it's crazy. And then obviously NA is just, you know, this. So yeah, it's been kind of dull on the FGO side of things. Good old Gundam Seed, man. It's got some good music. Alright, I think I'm doing this stage. I'll do this stage until, I guess I have to get 400 more of these tickets. And then I'll probably do a stage that drops Berserker gems or something. Alright, well, let's get to it. So I want somebody that has the pink ticket boost item, which I think that's it right there. Okay, good enough. Do I have any better bonus? Man, that's crazy how few bonus servants I have. I know I said that yesterday, but god damn. Really, can tell I don't... That's funny. I don't have any summer servants that aren't welfares. Like, every single summer servant here is a welfare, so of course I have them, you know, everybody has them. And then MASH, which everyone has, and then Robin, which everyone has. So the only thing I have that's a bonus servant here that some people may potentially not have is Caster Guild. That's the only thing. And I haven't leveled them, so it doesn't actually help me very much. That's enough, man. Let's see. God, this song, it's like, it's okay, but it's so repetitive. I need to, like, switch it out with something else. I need to take a day to do nothing but work on the playlist to make the playlist better. I mean, I don't even have any Gashta servants, so... Alright, let's see. I guess I could give Robin another bonus CE. What does this stage drop? Red points, I think? But technically, I would be more meta if I did this. But that would slow shit down. So instead, I'll put it on MASH. Like, I'm greedy, but, I don't know, that's a lot of pain if I switch out that CE. I don't mind Scath, but like, I like regular Scath way more than Summer Scath. And Summer Scath she's not even good anyway. And then I mostly use her as a taunt wall, so... And then I don't like Ishtar. So yeah, not much going on with the Summer Servants. Let me fix my volume. That's better. Hey, King. Alright, chat, this is random. I'm gonna get chat talking about something. So, characters aside, try to keep, like, bias out of this if you can. Try to just go off of the NP alone. Just, like, the NP's effect, its design, whatever. Out of all the Hassans, which one has your favorite NP? So, again, try to keep your, like, you know, bias in which Hassan you like the most out of it. Just, like, the actual NP attacks. And this includes the Hassans outside of FGO, so... You know, Strange Fake Hassan, and then the one from Fate Hollow, you know, Cyber Fantasy, all that. You know, gunpowder to the face, all that stuff. Azrael or Buzz, Curse Arm. A lot of King. Holy so much King Hassan, dude. Look at that. It's basically all King Hassan, and then a little bit of Curse Arm, and like one guy that likes 100 Fates. Let's see. I would probably go with 100 Faces, actually. And it really does have nothing to do with, you know, 100 Face the character. It's just, that's a really unique NP. It's constantly active. They don't have control over it. You know, it results in, you know, literally 100 different people and everything. Like, it's pretty wild. It's also kind of cool. That's one of the few NPs that the Zealot couldn't copy because it was made after. She only copied the ones you know, from before her time. Yeah, I like Cyber Fantasy is actually pretty cool. That's a super deadly NP, man. Like, you could wreck so many people with that. And just ask Bazette, she got wrecked by it. That shit's hilarious, by the way. Well, Gramps won that pretty hard. Gramps does have a pretty cool NP, though. I would say it's 100 Face for me, then probably Gramps, then probably Curse Arm. I don't know, Curse Arm and then Cyber Fantasy are probably tied. They're both pretty cool. Those are about the same. And then I don't even know why I mentioned Strange Fake Hassan, because we don't know what his NP is. They haven't shown it yet. Speaking of which, chat, I'm kind of curious how they're going to handle that, because we know the Zealot from Fate Strange Fake, she, you know, has all the old Hassan NPs, you know, all the ones before her, but not the ones after. But they never actually detailed, you know, the order of all the Hassans. A lot of them are a question mark. So we don't actually know every NP she does have or doesn't have, and we have no idea where Fate Strange Fake Hassan comes into things. We don't know if he's after her, before her, or maybe he has some weird NP that she couldn't copy. Like, we don't know what's going on. We have no idea. And because, like, they're going to do something, right? They're going to do something funky, because it's not like the writer has overlooked the fact that he has a character that copied all the Hassan's abilities up to 100 face or before 100 face. And there's a Hassan there, right? So, I mean, there's something's going to happen one way or the other. Although I feel like the Zealot is going to end up like winning if they end up fighting, just because the Zealot is like super fucking popular. I don't know though, we'll see. I will say, King of Song does not have like the same style of NP as all the others, right? Because he doesn't follow that shtick. Hey Metal, what's up, man? She's not really OP though, because like she doesn't have a lot of the same like skills and passives and stuff that the other Hassans have, and they honestly haven't been very clear about like how her NPs work exactly. I would not be surprised if they're actually all weaker than the originals. It's hard to say though, they haven't gone into it too much. Although maybe they have and I just forgotten, because to be honest, I haven't read the earlier Fate Strange Fate books in so long, because they came out an incredibly long time ago. So they may have actually detailed some of that stuff and I'm just not remembering. It actually seems somewhat likely. Either way though, I'm pretty sure Fate Strange Fake Hassan's NP has not been revealed, and I'm quite sure they'll do something funky with that. I guess I could have just had Robin NP. Wait, why did it take me 6 turns to get through wave 1? Not the best sign. Actually, I probably should have had Robin NP there anyway. That would make sense if none of them were better. But yeah, we'll see. Also, let's be real, there is so much diminishing returns on that. Like, first of all, okay, one of the NPs that would have been the most useful to her would have been 100 faces, but she doesn't have 100 faces. And so she's, like, a lot of the ones that she has are, they do the same thing, right? They're like a gank. You can only gank somebody so many times, right? It's not like you can, like, oh, you can't triple kill somebody. You know, you can only kill them once. So it's like, really, having Cyber Fantasy and Curse Arms, it's kind of like, this basically does the same thing, right? And both of them require you to need to gank the person and all that, so it's kind of like, who cares, right? Like, it doesn't actually help that much. Now, some of them do have more variety than that, so it's not like it's a bad thing to have all these different NPs, but I don't think it's as good. I like how Mordred got her NP back. Yeah, I should have just had Robin NP then. Make stars, I guess. Oh yeah, she has Serenities, that's right. I mean, we have no idea what we're going to get on the anniversary, because the anniversaries don't really have any consistency. You know, last year they added a bunch of bronze servants, and they'd never done that before. And the year before that, they added, you know, command codes. Actually, now that was like the year before, excuse me. Anyway, the only thing that's really consistent that we know we're gonna get is buffs. They do buffs every single anniversary. So, that's the thing. It's 6 more days. I'm really excited, but man, it sucks. We haven't had anything new in FGO in over 2 months. Fucking crazy, man. I hope they buff, though, the servants that actually need to be buffed. Like, there's just so many. Hey, Looking Glass, I appreciate the 100 bits. Thank you. But yeah, there's just a lot of low star servants and high star servants and stuff that have needed to be buffed for so long, and they just keep not buffing them, and it's getting ridiculous. I really hope they finally buff some of those. Like, it was stupid enough that they haven't buffed them already, to be honest, so they just keep not buffing them. I don't even know what to say. Like, it's like them saying, oh yeah, Geronimo's fine, Phantom's fine, Sanson's fine. They don't need to be buffed. Like, if you go that long without giving them, you know, and Benkei, of course, but like if you go that long without buffing them, it's like saying they're fine, they don't need to be buffed. But that's bullshit. Well, Mordred's looping quite nicely. That is such a long extra attack line, Jesus. Yeah, I would really like them to buff Benkei. It's probably this. Him and Phantom, I think, are the two that deserve it the most. Yeah, I don't know if they're going to do animation updates or not. I don't have a lot of faith in it because it's not something they've really done much on anniversaries. I'd like it if they just randomly did a bunch of animation updates, but you know, it could happen. Just like they hadn't really ever added a bunch of bronze servants before, and they randomly did that on the anniversary, so they certainly could do a bunch of animation updates. They've done like a couple animation updates, I think, on an anniversary before, but not very many, and they're pretty random. But hopefully we get something. Wow, this doesn't drop that many tickets. That sucks. Wait, what does that drop? No, that's points. That's a point one. I think that one also gives the pink ticket. Yeah, it does. Oh god, I'm summoning Ishtar. I'm actually kind of curious to see how she does here, because I mean the team's not helping her very much, so. I preferred the Summer Mordred. That was better. But I'm trying to get as much max, you know, max bonus per run, so gotta do what I gotta do. I could see them doing a Reshigal, Summer Reshigal at some point. Because she's so popular, and then she got even more popular with the anime, and they did the main interlude for her and all that, so. Yeah, I would not be shocked at all if we get Summer Reshigal at some point, either this year or maybe next year. It's funny, I never really thought about this, because I'm not like a huge Jerker fan or anything, but she's okay. But she's probably my favorite Summer Welfare so far, because I really haven't liked any of the Summer Welfares. I never really thought about that. Boy, that'd make Rex mad, but yeah, and not only do they normally pick characters I don't like, I just don't generally like the designs at all. Like, I'm normally whatever. But that's kind of how Summer is for me most of the time. I probably should have had Mash do this earlier. If I had her NP here, that'd be kind of nice. I don't think we're gonna get any more BB for a while. I think maybe someday they do another one because she's popular too, but You know, she's a real side thing in terms of like, you know, it's how do you put it? It's like, you know, all the fourth wall breaking stuff and CCC and stuff is like really, you know, they kind of have to push it to put it in FGO anyway, right? So the fact that they've given her 2 versions, I don't expect them to do much else with BB really. But you never know. When things are popular, things are popular. I mean, look how many fucking Neros there are. Oh yeah, I forgot about Summer Hokusai, but I don't really like her either. I don't really like Hokusai as a character very much. I don't hate her, but I don't like her at all. There's no, I have no negative or positive feelings about her. But then I don't really like her summer design, so I guess there's negative there. So yeah, I don't really like Summer Hokusai at all, to be honest. Like her gameplay is good, but I got Lancelot, so who cares? Because basically her gameplay is very similar to Lancelot's. You know, they have a little bit of apples and oranges there. There's some differences, but they're very, very similar. They fill the same function. And I actually like Lancelot, where I don't like Hokusai at all, so I would never use her, like ever. Well, that's actually a lie. I actually have used her several times, but that was for like testing and you know, like the tier list and just stuff with chat. You know, it's not like on my own. I'm like, oh yeah, I want to use Hokusai. That's not a thing. Yeah, they never use Hokusai for anything serious. That's basically the life of foreigners, is they get created for a quick buck on like an anniversary or something, and then they don't actually do fucking anything in the story at all. They'll probably try to rectify that at some point, but up to this point they have not. Abigail's like the only one that has any... And even you know, Epic of Remnant is a side story. So even Abigail hasn't done that much, honestly, in terms of like importance, but she actually has characterization in the main story and stuff. Yang was a mess. Dude, like, they just did nothing with that character at all. It's like, hey, we made a design, and yeah, that's it. The thing is, the alien god isn't exactly... We don't know what's going on with the alien god, but it's quite possible that it's not alien in terms of just strictly from outer space, necessarily, right? So, there's not... I don't think there's much... I don't think it has much to do with outer gods. And if it does, I don't think the outer gods are on its side at all, so... I think I actually have some fun with that, though. Why am I casting this stuff? Because she's stunned. I don't get the point. I just feel like, never mind the foreigners, you know, all the freaking lollies, but like just outer gods in general have been used very poorly, and then also just very rarely when the potential is so good with them. So they're probably going to do something with them and Sherlock. They're kind of building that up for a while. I don't think they made Yang just for the challenge quest. They could not be bothered to make those animations and everything. It was just for the boss. They definitely wanted her to be playable, and then they made the challenge quest just because. But it was more of like, hey, we can make a waifu and make money off of it, and they didn't bother to give her a character. So. Yeah, the outer god stuff is really only good in Salem. Every other use of them, I think, has been bad. Well, my neighbors, like, my room is like at the edge of my house, right? And my neighbors, like, cutting their grass right now, so I've got like a loud ass grass cutting thing right next to my window going on right now. Hopefully that doesn't get into the mic. How good is my sound filter? I think that's the orange point boost. Yeah, that's not what I want. Red point? No, blue point boost. Okay, there we go. That'll work. Back to Mordred. Dude, remember there was that guy that like accidentally fired a gun on stream and he got banned and everything? I remember so many people that would comment about like, you know, how stupid the situation was and everything, but then like how godly his sound suppression was because like the gun wasn't very loud at all, even though the mic was right there. Like it normalized it like so much. Like damn. Honestly, it's not that hard to complete a lot of the milestones in this event if you just throw apples at it. I mean, it's a pain and you're gonna be grinding a lot, but it's doable. Yeah, I don't know who that guy was. I just saw he was some streamer, and I learned about it on YouTube, and yeah, it was like all the rage for a while there. Some guy was being an idiot on stream and accidentally fired a gun. I think he like shot his table or something. Anyway, yeah, he obviously got banned for such, you know, that's pretty bad. You know, obviously, like that's a really bad thing to do on stream. But yeah, I remember so many people were like kind of taking the piss and but they'd bring up how godly his sound suppression was, which was true. It was really good. Wasn't able to MLB dive to blue. Boy, that sucks. I didn't get dive to blue on NA on the first time they did the event, but I got it when they reran it. So I didn't really farm it the first time they did it. Between the original and the rerun, it was easy to MLB it. But if I remember correctly, painting summer is much easier to get. I don't think you actually have to farm or drop. I don't remember, but I don't think you have to farm any of the CE drops. I'm pretty sure you MLB all of them naturally. Wow, I got like no NP on anybody. What the hell was I doing? I've seen a lot of people that think I really like Summer Mordred or are surprised that I didn't roll for Summer Mordred, but I honestly don't like Summer Mordred very much. I don't like hate her, but again, I like regular Mordred so much more that I just don't even care. It's like it's a non-serious take on a character that I like, so I'm like, meh. That's how I feel about most Summer Servants, man. It's like they're just so much lesser than I like serious stuff a lot more, so like I don't hate her, right? It's not like Summer Mordred is like, you know, oh my god, it's the worst thing. It's not like that. It's just like, yeah, I just drastically prefer regular Mordred. The only Summer Servant that I like kind of stands out as being kind of cool is Ruler Martha, because she punches things in a really cool way, right? But it's not, in personality-wise, I wouldn't necessarily like her more than regular Martha. They're not even that different. That's the thing. They're like basically the same, except one of them punches things. So I should have gotten mashes in the P's or second skill and gotten the attack up. What's your favorite welfare? Kentucky, probably. Top of my head. I forget welfare sometimes. That happens a lot. Let me think. The Kentucky. Gray was alright. I don't mind Gray. Oh yeah, Shiki. That again. It's just yeah. Shiki's fine. Shiki's fine. Shiki actually might be my favorite. Ryder Kentucky and Shiki are about the same. I like them for super different reasons. It's really hard to compare like who you like more, Shiki or Ryder Kentucky, because they're so fucking different and like why I like them. So yeah, no on that one. No, there's was it Ryomi or Ryoma or whatever. From Good to 3. That's a male welfare. Oh, and he's cool too. I like him. Yeah, he's actually really awesome. Yeah, he's good too. I like Zig and honestly FGO more than Apoc. The writer did a better job characterizing him and making him feel like an actual character. But I wouldn't put him like atop my list or anything. But ultimately, I don't like that many welfares. I would say there's way more welfares that I'm completely neutral about or I don't like. There's like way more of those. People get excited about welfares all the time because, you know, it's a free gold unit and everything, and I guess a lot of welfares people do really like, and good for them, but yeah, I'm normally pretty unexcited for welfares because so rarely do I like them, so it's normally one of the things I care about the least in an event. I normally care more about a good free CE than a welfare. Also, I don't know, they're really over the map when it comes to quality on welfares. Like, the last one they added on JP, she was terrible, like Alice or whatever, right? Her animation quality was trash. I'm not hating on the character or anything, it's just the animation quality on that character was awful. Oh yeah, that's her name. Anyway, but yeah, her animation quality was so bad, it's so boring, and like, it's really disappointing. And there's a lot of welfares like that they're really lazy with. But not every welfare is like that though. Some of the welfares they actually do a pretty decent job with. They're very inconsistent. They're very inconsistent. I'm pretty whatever about BB. I guess she's like, I mean, barely positive in my book. Like, if 5 is neutral, right? 5 for most people is like super low, but for me 5 is just neutral, right? So anything above 5 would be positive, right? She's like a 5.5 or a 6 or something, right? Like, she's not like super positive, but she's not really negative either. But gameplay-wise, I don't really care about her though. Like, her gameplay's unimpressive to me. Yeah, I realize how many I forget about so many welfares, man. There's so many now. It's hard to keep track. Right, Good 4 had a welfare too. Or wait. Which one was Good 4? Hold on. Was Good 4 the finale? Or was it something else? Good 3 is like, you know, all the mud boys and stuff. And the finale was like with, you know, Demon Nobu and all that. Was there a 4th one that I'm forgetting about? Am I forgetting a Good event? I don't think I am. I think the final was 4, right? Am I crazy? Like, there's just, it's hard to keep track anymore because you've got all the new events and the rerun and then an A, right? So it gets really confusing. I didn't miss the first Good event, I'm just not talking about it. I was just trying to think about if there was like a welfare between Good 3 and Good final. And I don't think so. Like for Good style stuff anyway. I'll probably do something Good related though, even if it's not like directly a Good event. And now we have Red Line and all that, so. Hopefully they'll do a main interlude for Good 3 at some point. Although there's so many Good events, I wouldn't hold your breath on that one, unfortunately. But if you play NA, you can still do the rerun, I think. Wait. Didn't they already rerun it? I don't fucking remember. Where the fuck is NA in the game right now? Everything is so confusing because I play both. I don't play NA very much. And like I said, the reruns messed up my clock so much. Like, because I'm not active on NA, when NA gets a rerun, it just confuses the fuck out of me now. Like, it's so fucked up. Next year is final. Oh, yeah, Cha-Cha. Oh, God. Yeah, that's the thing. That was 2, though. That was Good 2, so that's earlier. So, yeah, Good 3, the original run of it was this year, right? So the next year they're going to get the rerun, and then they'll get the final, I think. So you could still get the welfare next year then, if you're on NA. And if you're on JP, you just have to hope they do a main interlude someday. I mean, you know, Guildfest was so random going from Nerofest to Guildfest that I think whatever they do now is going to be just equally random, and so the odds of guessing it are really bad. The only thing that they might do other than just picking someone else at random, like Caesar or you know, Hogasai Fest or, you know, God knows what, is maybe they go back to Nero again, right? They did the Guild thing and then they go right back to... I don't think they're going to do Roma Fest because there's a lot of reasons. one, they kind of did a mini Roma Fest in Gilfest, right? And then he had, you know, he was a big boy in Lost Belt 5 and everything, so I doubt they would do that, but you never know. Yeah, I think, and also they might just do something different. They might not do a specific character fest, right? You know, we're always thinking it's like outside the box and like, you know, doing the same style of thing that they've always done. But DW is consistently breaking the mold and just doing random new things, right? So maybe they don't do a fest, or they do a fest but it's not based on a specific character, or they, like I said, they go back to Nero, or you know, something like that. Or maybe they do just, you know, pick another character. So who knows? Fest, yep, obviously. I'd be okay with some Greek stuff, Olympic stuff. Whoops. I like how by the time you start unlocking those CEs, which are like kind of an early way to get a point boost until you get the other CEs, but by the time you start getting them, you've already gotten like the CEs from the shop most likely, and you don't need them. I don't remember if that matters or not. Like, I literally don't remember. Alright, let's see. How many more of these? I need so many more of these. Holy crap. All the other ones, it was really easy for me to clear them out, but this one's been a pain. I guess I don't have anyone with the CE though to make it easier. And then you also need more of this mat than the other mats because of the jerker ascension thing in the shop that takes it as well. Getting points gets a little bit easier later in the event, but not that much easier to be honest, but it does get a bit easier when they add a few different stages. However, you also get more CEs and all that. I haven't focused on getting points yet. I will soon though. I'll start focusing on getting points once I get this last CE from the shop, and once I get the jerker thing from the shop, then I'll focus on it. Wait, this is a different Mordred. Does she have the right CE that I need? I'm not sure, I wasn't paying attention. Hopefully so. Let's go ahead and do this. Can we get 3 million points for that apples? Pretty close. You probably need to use some, but I will say it's not a big deal because they give you so many apples in this event. I mean, good God, they give you so many apples in this event. You'd have to be. I know this because I've done this on my ult account. On my ult account, I don't really, you know, keep up with things, and I pretty much just use my default AP every day on my ult, and I got pretty close to being able to clear it. But then in the last few days, then I'd have to use some apples to catch up. But it's not a big deal because you've obtained so many apples, and on the last few days you can be a lot more efficient because there are nodes that are more useful. So it's overall it's not too bad. It's just a lot of time. You need to make sure you can't, if you're trying to do this event without using a lot of apples, you're trying to be like, you know, really minimalist with it. You got to be meta as fuck with which stages you pick and what CEs you bring. You know, you need to make sure every time you use 40 AP, you're getting the maximum bonus, you know, drop or point gain that you can get. You need to make sure you're picking the right nodes. You need to make sure you're not whiffing any of your AP at all. Like if you're trying to save apples, it's a real bitch in this event. But it's certainly doable. But I think you'd still have to use some apples. Unless of course you're a lower level account and you can like level up. Honestly, I don't want them to get rid of the deterrent on Miyu. That would be really boring to get rid of the deterrent. What they need to do is they need to add other benefits and other things in her kit that warrant it. It's like it's worth it to put up with the deterrent because you look at all these other rewards that you get, right? That's the best way to handle deterrents. Not having deterrents on any servants is boring. It's a unique thing you can do. It's just that ultimately the servants that have nasty deterrents need to have the biggest benefits, right? That's only fair, and the game has not done that. Like the servants that do have deterrents, they either end up removing the deterrents, which is incredibly boring, or they just don't give them enough, you know, benefits to make it, you know, quite good enough. Although I guess there's a few exceptions to that, especially when their deterrents are kind of minor. There's plenty of servants that have like very minor deterrents, but then they end up being like insanely good servants. I want the art up right now. Yeah, fuck it. I may regret this. I twisted my ankle. Ugh, that sucks. I mean, there's a lot of deterrents that cannot be fixed with command codes. There's loads. Look at Mori's thing. Mori's can't be offset with the command code. There's way more deterrents that can't be than can, I would say. And also, even if you can offset some... Okay, for example, there are some deterrents you can offset with command codes that it's pretty smooth, that it's not a big deal, it's like no problem, but that's not all of them. Like, for example, the anti-stun one works pretty well because the anti-stun lasts multiple turns. And it lasts 2 turns, and your deck shuffles every 3 turns, so you're looking pretty good there that you either have it on the turn that you're going to stun yourself or the turn before, right? So it's pretty likely. But there are other deterrents that it's like you'd have to do it after you already do the thing, and that can get awkward, it can fuck up your chains, things like that. You've got stuff like something as simple as Saber Gilius, right? You've got to use the NP, then use the command code to get rid of the defense down, stuff like that. It can get kind of awkward in some for some characters, but there's a lot of deterrents that you're just not allowed to. There is no command code to get rid of it, or they don't allow you to. Because like with Mori's defense down, it doesn't matter if you have debuff clear or not, it won't stop it, right? The game just does not allow you to avoid it, which is kind of silly, but you know it is what it is. But yeah, I always find it annoying when they have a deterrent on a character and you're supposed to like plan around it and play around it and think about it and that kind of thing. And then they just patch them or buff them or whatever to just not have the deterrent anymore. It's kind of dull. Like they did that with Melt. You know, Melt used to, hers wasn't really a deterrent, but it, well, I guess there was some degree of deterrent there. But, you know, the main thing with Melt was the fact that you had to, you know, plan ahead and cast her NP buff a turn before, right? But then they just made it boring and it activates the turn you click it, which takes no brains, and it's just not fun. It's like, it was more unique the other way. And I was like, the best way to buff that skill is just make the NP up bigger. And you just keep it, you know, make it, still make it require forethought, but, a foresight, but then make sure the reward is worth the foresight. Is she dead? I wasn't paying attention. Because like the way Melt was originally, it's like you had to have foresight with that skill, and it was easy to forget. But then the actual damage boost it gave wasn't really that much larger than really any of the other servants out there, so it didn't. The payoff wasn't right. So I think the way to fix it is make the payoff bigger. I mean, if you're talking about like enemies, I don't think there's really any thought put into it. They just, you know, they just make whatever they think is more fun for the stage. And they generally try to make one of the bosses like the more main boss, if you will, when they do AoE stuff. It's not a quality of life change though, it's a direct power boost. It's also a, it just makes something a lot easier to play, and ultimately I think it makes it a lot less interesting, because it's just like everything else. I guess that's objectively not a quality of life change, it's a direct, like it's a pretty extreme buff, and then it also just removes, like I said, planning. Yeah, then they buffed her again. We don't. That's a whole different thing, though. And it's not like Melt's the only time they've done this, though. They've done it a lot, where they've got, you know, a character that has a drawback, and then they end up just removing the drawback. And I'm like, well, why did you do it that way at all in the first place, then? Also, there's a lot of characters I feel like that just need to start out with an upgraded NP. I think Jet Kita is a perfect example of that. She just should have started, like when she was released, she should have had an upgraded NP multiplier. Like it just makes sense. She has a lot of damage up in her kit, but so do a lot of other people, right? And they also have upgraded NPs, and they don't have the deterrence. So she needs to have more than them. I mean, the thing is, we have released characters, though, with an upgraded NP from the get-go. Like, Saber Alter, for example, has an upgraded NP from the get-go. And you can always just buff something else about them if you want to do that. But yeah, I think they do it because, one, sometimes you want to make sure they don't accidentally make something too strong. And then also they want to get people all hyped when they actually buff them, because they just have to use buffs as a hype piece instead of a balance thing, because I don't know, fucking DW, man. I just realized this fire sprite is called BBQ. BBQ fire. It's kind of funny. I wouldn't say she was designed with her buff in mind. I think it's more because I don't think the buff they gave her was really even what she needed. Like, not at all. Yeah, sure, she's better since she got buffed, but not by that much. I think she was just really undertuned, and it's not even that it's just that she was undertuned. It's more like the kind of toolkit they gave her is kind of wonky with having an AoE NP and then also being an Avenger, because the strength and weakness of an Avenger is the fact that they're almost always at neutral. So oftentimes a proper counter class will be better than them, but also they're going to be effective against basically every enemy type ever, where like Robin is really only effective against sabers. So in AoE challenge quests, or when you fight a bunch of different classes throughout the stage, things like that, Avengers can do very well. And then also if you just need good enough damage, Avenger basically works against everything, and that's good. But then, you know, Nobu is more aimed at, you know, normal card damage, and then like, so it's more single target because normal cards obviously aren't AoE. But then her NP is AoE, and it's also not even that hard hitting of an AoE. So it's just really weird. Like, it's really weird that she's neutral against almost everything, and then she has extremely high single target damage, but through normal cards, but then her NP's AoE, and it's also a rather weak AoE. So it's like, that really works against itself. And it's just, she's still great, especially if you are fighting a ruler or a berserker. You know, Avengers are great in those contexts, and, you know, she will slaughter rulers so fucking easily for you. And there are also boss fights and challenge quests and stuff that reward normal card damage a lot more than NP damage. There are just some fights that are like that. They're kind of few and far between, but they definitely pop up from time to time. And we've seen, you know, Demon Nobu do stupid fucking well in those situations, where if it is, you know, where you can do a lot with normal card damage, she does very well. So she's one of those characters where it's like, people act like she's the worst 5-star in the game, and I definitely think she's a bit limited. She's definitely not a 5-star that you can just use all the time and get huge value out of, but there's been plenty of situations where she is really strong. I definitely don't think she's bad. She did need the buff though, but I actually think she needed a bigger buff than what they gave her. I think the buff they gave her was not really that helpful, to be honest. I should have cast that earlier, but too late now. It is true, if you have a limited servant and you rate them up 3 times and you buff them 3 times, you'll probably make more money that way. That's probably accurate. However, you'll probably lose money in a lot of departments because you're pissing people off too. Easy to not notice that. Oh, Vlad. Arjuna doesn't need to be really buffed though. He's been buffed actually twice, and he's really good as such. He's got an upgraded NP and he buffed his skill, and he's quite good now. He's not the best 5-star archer in the game, but you don't need to be the best 5-star archer in the game because, you know, someone has to be the best. So, you know, we don't need to be constantly trading who's the best 5-star of any given type. And Arjuna honestly does, he works in his niche extremely well. You know, he's got so much anti-debuff, he's got massive healing, so he's very good at like anti-normal card damage. His MP hits very hard, he gets his MP rather easily, you know, but he's obviously lacking in survivability outside, in terms of like surviving an NP. He's got very good survivability against normal card damage, like some of the best, honestly, but he's certainly not perfect, but he's got, I mean, Jesus, he gets a 5-turn debuff immunity. 5-turn debuff immunity. Like, that's super good. Now, sure, there are a lot of boss fights where debuffs don't matter, but there's also a lot of fights where they do. So, ultimately, I think he's very good for what he's designed for. He works how he's supposed to work. And for general use, For general use, it's, yeah, he's not quite as good as maybe Ishtar or Gilgamesh or even Tesla, but it's not like he's getting blown out of the water. It's not like, oh man, I need an AoE archer and Arjuna just can't cut it. No, he does. He's got no problem. It's easy to use Arjuna for farming. He still hits plenty hard. He's got an upgraded NP. He's got Buster up, NP damage up, big damage there. And then he has an NP battery, so you don't need K-Scope and Waver to get his NP quickly. You can get his NP quickly with very basic stuff. So I think Arjuna's really good. Okay, we're almost done with these. We need 120 more tickets, and then I can move on to a different freaking stage. This is not a good stage for me because with how few bonus servants I have, and Robin is so ineffective here, I'll be glad to get off this stage. Also, I farmed a lot of the red points. I should farm some of the other points. I'm not unlocking a lot of the bonus stages because I haven't gotten any of the ladder stuff outside of the red points. Yeah, Arjuna's insta-death is not the greatest, but that's true for anyone that has insta-death. Because I will remind everyone, Ku has overcharge for insta-death, and it's not like Ku is bad, right? So, although we have Valkyrie. Even on Nito, it's not that good, to be honest. That's one of the most overhyped things ever. Like, every once in a while, it's nice to have the insta-death on Nito, and there's... Sometimes they make free quests where, you're fighting mobs that are very susceptible to insta-death, and then that makes her really good. But that honestly doesn't happen very often. Normally the stuff you could insta-death with Nitocris, you could have just killed with a Rosh or Spartacus. Right? And then just kind of keep the train going. I've really never been that impressed with Nitocris for farming. She's not bad for it. I've never been like, oh god, this sucks. But people act like she's the best farming unit ever, and it's like, she's not. Like, the only time she really shines for me is if you're fighting assassins, which is when you would expect her to be good. It's not exactly her going above and beyond, right? It's kind of just, yeah, she's a good AoE caster that, really fucks up assassins and sometimes gets insta-death, and on a very rare instance, you're able to get a lot of value out of that insta-death. The thing is, the 100% battery is not that good, though, because she doesn't hit very hard. And it's, okay, if it was, rare to get your NP on turn 1, sure. But it's not! It's not hard to have a Raj NP on turn 1. You don't need a Waver to do it, right? It's not hard. And it's not hard to get Spartacus to NP on turn 1. There's a lot of servants that it's really fucking easy to give them, basic starting NPCEs and then NP on turn 1. Now, let's say you're a new account, and you got Nitocris right off the bat, and you don't have a lot of starting NPCEs yet, then sure, that's going to be nice. But that's not very many people, because most people are going to get random starting NPCEs and things like that, and other supports and that kind of thing before they ever get Nitocris. And by the time you get Nitocris, I'd say for the average player, unless you're fighting a stage of assassins, or you're fighting, just at one of those random stages where insta-death is more valuable than normal, I don't think she's that great. I really don't. I'm not trying to hate on her, and I don't think she's bad. I don't think she's a bad farming unit. I think she can, be pretty decent. I mean, fucking Hohenheim can clear out a lot of, wave 1 out of 3, stages and stuff, and then you can, focus on somebody else, that's gonna do more damage for the later waves and stuff. It's just kind of meh. I've tested Nitocris a fair amount for farming and stuff, and it's yeah, she's fine. I would never say she's a bad farming unit, but people act like she's literally the best farming unit ever, and I'm like, I don't see it at all. And also, most people that get really serious about farming don't use her, so it's like, meh. I'd like to see them buff Nitocris, but less for farming and more for just, other uses, really. Because that's what I generally care about. I'm not using poison because we'll either kill it with Mordred or we won't need the poison, I'm hoping. I'm expecting Mordred won't kill it, but then I'm hoping Robin can and save the poison. Not that we need to save the poison, so actually I don't know why I bothered doing that. No, I don't. Okay, and that's true to a degree. If you're like a whale and you're trying to just farm, yeah, a lot of times it's just a bunch of K-scopes. That's true. So, but even outside of that, when you're not going quite that extreme, you still don't really see Nitocris get used that much. That is true. I should have done Mordred's Buster first, and then the quick. You would have gotten an NP there. I can still get it, but it's a waste. The thing is, you can do pretty similar setups though to like the whole just LOL throw a bunch of K-scope at it without needing a bunch of MLB K-scope. You know, you could. There's a lot of units that have like battery skills and stuff that you could get that you would only need 50% or maybe 70%, and you've got the Sakura CE. So if you've been playing the game for a long time, totally as a free-to-play, you're probably going to have like Imaginary Element, maybe a K-scope. You know, then you have someone with a 50% battery, so you give them Golden Sumo or Drunken Jolter or whatever. People are always like, oh, but I don't have Golden Sumo. Meanwhile, there's like a million other fucking 50% starting in PCEs. They literally give out like 3 a year. Anyway, so it's like, it's pretty easy to have a lot of units that just have their own battery skill. You give them enough starting NP, and they have a strong AoE, and you just boom, boom, boom. Like, I farm that way all the time. You know, sometimes I do waivers, sometimes I do double scatty, sometimes I do a Rosh Spartacus things. But seriously, sometimes I just bring like 3 units that all have starting in PCEs, and then they have their own battery skill, and they all have hard-hitting NPs, and you just wave 1, wave 2, wave 3 that way. So it just depends. Some stages that won't work on, but you know, it's a nice option. I really should remember to try to get matches NP, just because you can nuke harder. But I'm in such autopilot that it's probably not going to happen very often. Dude, I swear my new account has like every 4-star CE, like the default ones, other than Imaginary Element. Kind of sucks because we got Art of Death, and we got the fucking Millennium Tree and all that garbage. We got multiple necromancies and so on and so forth. MLB Necromancy, yeah, it's not so useful. At least we've got Art of Death though. Art of Death is good. Honestly, my new account's got some decent CEs now, but it's still missing some of the really basic ones. I always say, oftentimes starting in P is better than Art of Death, but there's plenty of stages where starting in P is just irrelevant, and then in that case Art of Death is a great option. And if for whatever reason you can't bring starting in P because maybe you don't have it, then if you're going to have to go in with no starting in P, Art of Death is again a really good replacement. I mean, no, damage cut is oftentimes way worse than defense up, but sometimes it's way better. It depends on all kinds of things. Like, ultimately, defense up and damage cut are just different mechanics. That's all there is to it. Like, if let's say the enemy attacks often, but they only do like 2,000 damage, right? Then obviously damage cut is really good. Or let's say you're counterclassing, so the unit's taking less damage in the first place, and then damage cut's gonna be really good. But let's say the boss, let's say that you got like God Juna, right? That when you fight God Juna as a boss, he's over there fucking hitting you for 10k on a Buster attack. It's like having a 1k damage cut's not gonna be very helpful, is it? Right? But then if you got like a 50% defense up, you're cutting off 5,000 damage off of it, right? So it's a matter of math. It's like how much damage are they doing? How much defense up do you have? How much damage cut do you have? It's not one universally better than the other, like, at all. And ultimately, they work well together, because if defense down lowers their fucking damage, I'm sorry, if defense up lowers their damage, that means damage cut doesn't have to work as hard. Like, you've seen a lot of, boss fights where, like, the boss just hits so hard, damage cut's almost irrelevant, right? But then there's also the opposite, where damage cut in the right context can basically take 0 damage. Like, you got Canis, like a 3,000 damage cut, right? That's rather large. And so if you're counterclassing, so you're already cutting their damage in half, You know, then you're looking pretty good. Oh, so that fucking chicken just wrecked our shit? I should have cast Nash's defense up. I wasn't really paying attention though, and I paid for it. You know, this was a mistake. I should not have had Robin NP here. And you know what? I can actually have him NP later. It's not like I need to have him NP right now. I should take advantage of the Brave Chain while I've got it. And I also probably should have gone with the 50% crit, but you know. I like never need feathers on like any of my accounts, so I don't really care. Maybe on a new account, like a brand new account, then I might care. But on my older accounts, it's like feathers are not the problem. Because Blackbeard's not popular, that's why he didn't get an animation update. And DW is lazy. Maybe someday. I want all the day one servants to get animation updates. I mean, it's that simple. We all deserve it. It's silly how bad their animations are this many years later. It's honestly kind of embarrassing. You know what I really want is like a Avenger Blackbeard or Berserker Blackbeard that's like a 4 or 5 star and is like way more serious and done proper and has got the fumes in his beard and all that stuff. And then while you do that, then you also update the old Blackbeard, right? That's how you do this shit. I feel like if you ever update Blackbeard, they're gonna give him a really stupid extra attack or just some attack that's really silly, like where he like smacks you with a porn magazine or something. I just really feel like they just can't resist the memes at this point for him. Like they just cannot be serious with Blackbeard in the slightest. But yeah, being someone that knows the actual history of Blackbeard, it really sucks that we don't have a serious Blackbeard right now. I'm not a fan. I mean, not only was he badass, but it's like he's such a famous pirate. He is the pirate, right? He's the most famous pirate across the world, and it's just a shame that they didn't, you know, do more with that. I mean, come on, who doesn't want to see fucking like King Arthur fighting Blackbeard in anime, right? Like that's awesome, but in Fate it's not, because one of these things is serious and one of them is not even remotely, so it doesn't actually make a, you know, it would like if you had like a more proper Blackbeard, right? You had like and still anime, of course, you know, kind of over the top anime stuff, but imagine in like a serious anime Fate show, you know, you've got, you know, Arthur or Toria, even whatever, and you know, they're fighting like a serious Blackbeard with the flaming beard and all this good stuff. You know, that'd be pretty badass, right? Where if you do like Arthur or Toria versus the Blackbeard that we have, it wouldn't be badass at all, right? It's a joke. It's like it's not great. The music knows. This music is what would happen if Blackbeard fought Like Robin Hood. Robin Hood versus Blackbeard. That's some clashing legends right there. That's some good shit. I think there's a chance that someday they would revisit Blackbeard just because he's so famous, but I just don't think Japan cares enough about pirates and whatnot, and the fact that he's so known for the jokey meme bullshit now that I'm not sure we're going anywhere. I don't mind Drake as a character at all, but I've always said I don't understand why they made it Francis Drake instead of using one of the many other female pirates out there. I will never understand that decision. We'll probably get a serious Caesar at some point. I mean, they've hinted at it several times, so I think it's just a matter of time. It may not necessarily be a 5-star though, it could be a 4-star or whatever, who knows. I'm surprised someone does not know what this song is, because it's kind of famous, but it's Slide from Super Mario 64. Maybe I'm just a boomer, maybe these days it's not really that known anymore, but it's pretty known. I mean, it's got like millions and millions of views, and it's used in videos all the time, and you know, fucking Mario. Mario's still kind of relevant, so... Yeah, good old Slide. Speaking of Arthur, we got Arthur's theme here, that's nice. I just did my card order backwards there, but that feeling when Fate Prototype has a soundtrack but no anime. Oh, it has no VA, I suppose. Hi, Arian. We're totally using your piece of shit, your Ishtar right now because it has the bonus CE. And, you know, I just have to do everything possible to get as much bonus as possible. Yeah, I love this song too. It's like 10 out of 10, man. I know I talk about Prototype a lot, but I truly feel like I have not been able to express how much I actually like Fate Prototype, like, and how much more I like it than just like regular old Fate Stay Night, like, and then how sad I am that it doesn't have a proper fucking anime, or actually it doesn't even have a proper fucking story, because we have the prequel, it has a proper prequel, which is nice, but, you know, the prequel's not the thing, it's you know, something else entirely. And then it's got, you know, the OVA, and then a lot. It does have a more extensive character material book. Like they honestly like detailed a lot more in its character material book than most, and I think that's because it doesn't have a proper story. Yeah, I really like the prototype designs. I mean, in terms of just like the setup and how they kind of handled prototype originally, I just like it so much more. Now, as time goes on, they've kind of just integrated it into the regular stuff, and you know, they're kind of almost just using it as an excuse to do things with just like the regular Fate stuff. That's why I like Proto Merlin's female now. I don't think for a second that was the original intention when they were making prototype way back in the day. So that kind of shit kind of annoys me. But you know, welcome to the mainstream, boys. Anyway, but like the original concept of it, and just the way they handled it, and the designs and everything, and the vibe and all that, I just like it way more. How much damage will we do here? I like how Mash was just talking over herself. She was like still saying the dialogue from picking the NP, then she started speaking in the NP. That was weird. One of the few servants that can do that. You click fast enough. I do like Fate Prototype, Silver Fragments as well, but I don't like it as much as regular Prototype, but it's still fine. I think the writer of that, she did a pretty good job of kind of, how do I put this? So she didn't write the original Fate Prototype, obviously, but she was expanding on it. And that's actually a pretty difficult thing to do and have it still feel pretty consistent, right? And it's not like it's perfect. I think Silver Fragments does feel a bit different than Prototype, but honestly, I think it fits in quite well. I think he did a really good job with that, so. I almost have all the shop CEs area. I'm getting there, but yeah, right now what you've got is what we need. I need the, you know, the pink tickets, but I won't need them much longer. We're almost done with that. I'm about to go to. After this, I'm gonna fund the Berserker node because I want Berserker gems, and then that drops orange points, I think. And so then I'll want someone with an orange point boost. Hey, thank you for the gifted sub, man, to Ziggy. Thanks, man. I'm gonna call you someday because I can't say that shit, but I appreciate it. Ziggy is here all the time, so deserved. Okay, there we go. We're actually done with the pink tickets now. Wait, do I still need to... Okay, now I can ascend. And someday with the gifted subbed somebody. That's a name that I'm not gonna try to say. But thank you again. I appreciate it. I feel so low energy right now. I feel kind of bad, but I really appreciate it, guys. I like how they literally turned it into a meme, how every welfare does not have any options with ascension stages. Like, almost all of their upgrade lines have something to do with that now. I keep killing my playlist. I need to fix this. I'm out of XP right now. A little bit. I'm mostly leveling her right now because I have basically no bonus servants, so it's gonna be useful actually to have her up because if I want to bring maximum bonus. Right now I have Robin, right? I have Robin, that's it, and that's not always gonna work. Thankfully, later on it probably won't matter as much, but yeah, I'm trying to get as much bonus as humanly possible here. I'm actually gonna do the lower one first because I want to grab these apples. Might as well. Besides, we can check out the enemy names, which is always fun. Well, I have no idea what to summon. Whoever has an orange boost thing, which I have no idea what slot that's going to be in, because especially if it's a Berserker, it's like... whatever. See, that's red. Which one is orange? I always forget. Man, it takes so long for it to cycle through these things. It's really annoying. Wait, is that the, I don't want to summon another fucking Ishtar. I'm so sick of fucking summoning Ishtar. On Robin? Okay, I'll take that. That's way better. And then, of course, I can't summon Aerie because this fucking game. And another gifted sub to Adam. Thank you again, man. That's 3 gifted subs. I appreciate it. We're just doing double Robin. Let's go. Alright, let's see. Yes, game, I know if you put a CE on a temporary servant, you don't lose the CE. Who knew? Alright, that's I'm pretty sure that's the most possible bonus I can actually get on this account right now. There's like no way I could get more than that at the minute, so. But seriously, man, thank you for the gifted subs, and pretty much everyone that got one is in chat a lot, so feels good. Yeah, I would only put a warning message up if you lost the CE, but you don't. So it's warning you about something that doesn't happen. It's like, what? Yeah, and another gifted sub to Valpro, I think I got that right for once. Thank you again. Getting a little shit. Dude didn't want to get subbed, feels bad. And then another gifted sub to Nuwo, some shit. That's 15 gifted subs in total. Thank you, man. Getting a little out of hand here. You might want to, you know, save the money, sir, but I appreciate it. Alright, what are we doing here? Oh man, the good music though. Metroid Prime, man. Now, they've never had it so temporary servants delete anything, so I don't really get why they've always done the message like that. It's kind of silly. The raids, and in Blue Note with a gifted sub to Sam, fuck it. That 5 gifted subs now. Thank you, Blue Note. Everyone, you're just fucking with me. I swear, somebody is just gonna. I'm not gonna say it. You know, I'm not gonna say it. I'm not giving Chad any ideas. I'm not doing that. I had foresight there, Chat. Sama. Tell us no. And you can probably. I think some people can figure out where I was going with that. I'm not hyped for Metroid Prime 4 at all, because it's in development hell, and I don't think Retro Studios has any freedom, and they've literally had to scrap the game and start remaking it because it was such a mess, so it just has all the classical signs of shit development. Now, if it just miraculously turns out to be good anyway, which that happens sometimes, Demon's Souls went through development hell, and it still ended up turning out good, but it has a lot of signs of being a pile of shit, so, and I didn't really like Metroid Prime 3 that much, so. And then Blue Notes with a gifted sub to Faust. Thank you again. And Faust is here all the time, so he also deserves one. See, I can say Faust. See, that's an actual name. See, I got that, and then like the F is capital, right? See, like proper shit. Yeah, Finn, you've gifted more subs for like enough for like a lifetime, so don't worry about it. I always say like you gifted way more than you should have, but I still appreciate it. Oh god, and then someday with a gifted sub to Dragon Cool 55. See, I can read normal names, chat. See, it's like words. Although the C in cool is not capital, which is bullshit. But I still got it. Got this good music though. Now, I don't feel like you got a sub, guys. Not at all. Like this, I hate saying this because it sounds like reverse psychology, or it just sounds like cheesy bullshit, but like I'm saying this because it's true, right? Even though it sounds like bullshit, but it's like I'm legitimately just happy to have an audience in the first place. And then in terms of like, and like, you know, let's be practical here. Obviously, I gotta pay bills. You know, I got electric bills and stuff. You know, and thank you, Lost, with the resub. I think. Wait, what was that gifted? Wait, what? I don't understand. It's like Lost gifted a sub to no one. Am I? What happened? What? It said you gifted a sub, but they didn't give me a name. I'm confused. Anyway, thank you, Lost. You know, as I was saying, it's like a stream will do well if you just have a community, right? You don't need everyone to be subbed, right? That Finn, no, Finn, no. You literally just said you don't have any money. Don't do that. I appreciate the sentiment, but man, you gotta save the money, man. Is there a way I can like? I don't think you can refund these, and then I take this emotes away from these people. But bro, man, you gotta don't do that, man. Like you've gifted fucking 142 subs. That's just you're good, man. I'm trying to talk about, you know, saving money here, making me look bad, but seriously, Finn, dude, you gotta don't worry about it, man. You've already gifted so many, and you got responsibility, boys. You guys are really making what I'm trying to say look bad, right? And because now someday there's another chat. You gotta. Chat, this is not responsible. Like this is not. You are throwing money at an idiot that's yelling over the internet about a fucking fate, right? This is not worth it. Let's back this up a little bit. But I appreciate the support, guys, and then Arjuna with the gifted sub to Lelouch. You guys are killing me right now. So back on my point, a stream will do well if it just has viewers. Like, regardless if they're subs or not, right? The money kind of just comes with the territory. I legitimately just like having people to talk to. Y'all making me look really bad right now. So this is what I didn't want, right? I don't want to look like I'm doing reverse psychology. I'm serious, chat. It's okay. Green Boy has, I'm fine, right? I'm not getting, like, the lights turned off next week, right? I'm good, right? I appreciate the support, I really do, but now you're just making me feel bad. And so yeah, Zelos with the gifted sub, and Someday with another gifted sub, and then Zelos with another gifted sub, the Chaos something shit, and then that Morph guy subbed for 9 months. You're making, I like sound angry now, right? Like it's like angry sub hype, that's not that's how this is supposed to be, but I appreciate all of the support, guys. I'm going to shoot Yelly McYelly in the face now, and you know, but seriously, chat, Finn, don't worry about it. It's not a competition, right? It's not like I'm going to appreciate the gifted subs you've gave less because other people are gifting subs. It doesn't work that way. Like, don't worry about it, man. Just sit back, relax. You know, it's you know, we're all good here. I know it's kind of bullshit. Green Boy saves so much money from being free to play. I know it. I feel bad about this, right? I'm always like talking about, you know, being responsible with your money, and I play this game mostly free to play, except for Edmund. You know, and then I people just throw money at me. It's kind of honestly, it's silly, right? Like I don't even understand it. Like, I appreciate it, and I'm happy, but it's like I'm sitting here playing video games and ranting about, you know, fate books. Right, and then people just throw money at you for some fucking reason. It defies logic, right? I don't understand. You don't understand, chat. You don't understand. I worked for most of my life, right? And like, especially my last job, I didn't really enjoy it that much for many years that I did it. And now I'm making more money from I'm sitting here in my fucking bedroom and smacking my desk, and I'm making more money now. It's kind of, well, maybe slightly less. I don't know. I'm not really sure. I made pretty. I gotta say, I'm not trying to guilt anyone. It's that I legitimately made pretty good money from my last job, right? Like, I didn't really like it, but I actually did make pretty good money from it, which was kind of surprising because I just worked for a fucking parking company. But I made pretty good money there. But anyway, I think I'm making more now. I'm not really sure, but it's kind of silly. This desk doesn't even have a scratch on it, man. Like, not even a dent. This is a thick desk, man. And thank you, Cheezer, for the 5 bits. Okay, let's shoot a guy in the face here. Yeah, I don't know what all what that was, but I do appreciate all the subs, guys. But seriously, it's like I really don't know how to express this in a way that doesn't sound like reverse psychology, but I legitimately I am so okay with people never subbing to me and just hanging out all the time, right? Like I remember that time I started streaming at 4 a.m. randomly. Like I couldn't sleep and I just randomly started streaming at 4 a.m. right? It's like it's a pretty lucky position to be in, to be able to start streaming at 4 a.m. and have people that will actually come hang out and talk to you, right? And like that's a pretty powerful thing, right? Like especially in today's world and everything, it's really nice that I have that. And then, you know, I do make money from this, right? And I'm able to support myself. So it's like you're legitimately, you're not a leech. You're not leeching if you're not paying. Cause seriously, I fucking hate those streamers that actually try to act like you're a leech if you don't sub. It's fucking bullshit, right? Because it's like, if a streamer feels like their content's so good, like let's be real, streaming is not like some top tier content, right? Even the streams that put in a lot more effort than I do and stuff, you know, it's you know, you're playing video games on the internet. Like let's not get full of ourselves here, right? If someone actually thinks their content is so good that no one should get to watch them unless they spend money, you know, fucking pay to view, you know, then go make a website. It's easy to make a website that can host your own private stream, and then people have to spend money to get access to it. You can do that. And guess what? No one's gonna fucking watch you, right? Because you're not that awesome. And like you owe Twitch a lot, you know, like, or YouTube, you stream on YouTube. You owe the platform a lot. It gives you an audience. It puts a spotlight on you. It gives you discoverability, right? And so if you decide I'm going to stream on YouTube or I'm going to stream on Twitch, you are going into it accepting that those platforms are free, right? If you're one of these, you know, egotistical asshats that legitimately thinks that no one should get to like watch your content regularly without paying, then don't use Twitch or YouTube, and then you'll fucking die, and you'll realize how insignificant you are, right? It's ridiculous. It's so stupid that these people, they agree, they sign up to the terms of service of YouTube or Twitch, right? And they're well aware that this shit is free, right? And then they try to guilt people. It's stupid. Like it's fucking stupid. And you know, I get it. It's, you know, you gotta make a living. I understand. It's not like I'm not against people trying to do things to make money. That's fine. But you also have to accept a lot of your viewers are not in a situation where they're, you know, going to be able to give you money, or they just don't want to, which is fair enough. I mean, Jesus Christ, people watch a lot of different streamers. It's not like a pride thing. Just because someone doesn't want to give you a sub doesn't mean they don't like your content, right? It's just, there's a lot of other shit in the world, right? Like you got other streamers, they've got other responses. It's just bullshit, right? What is going on in chat right now, by the way? I don't even know. Anyway, but yeah, I see some people, it's like an ego thing where they feel like if someone doesn't sub to them, it means they don't like them. It's like, dude, just relax, man, right? It's like, just fucking relax. It's not that big of it. It's fucking Twitch, man. And like, I get it. You know, you gotta make a living, but most of these streamers that act that way, they do make a living, right? They're just being fucking greedy. And if you're actually not making a living off Twitch, then don't stream full time. Be responsible, right? Like seriously, if you can't actually support yourself off streaming, don't, right? Then, you know, and if you're like, but you really want to be a streamer, that's your dream. That's fair too. Maybe someone, their life goal is they want to be a streamer. Fine, that's fine. But then you're gonna have to work at it for a while. You know, you're gonna have to stream and hold down a regular job, and maybe that's, you know, stressful and difficult. But, you know, that if that's what you gotta do, it's like, just relax. You know, it's like, it's part of the system. It's part of YouTube. It's part of Twitch that people get to watch for free. And that's why these things are successful. That's why you have an audience in the first place. And I feel like to be a successful streamer, you have to do both, right? You have to legitimately enjoy streaming. Right, and some people, they stream just for the money, right? And they normally burn out, or you know, it just doesn't work out. You've got to legitimately enjoy interacting with people on some level, right? Like, yeah, you're gonna have trolls, and you're gonna have days you don't feel like it. That's fine, that's normal, you know. But if you don't enjoy interacting with chat, it's not going to really work out. I don't know what's going on in chat right now. Like, I'm sitting here talking about interacting with chat, and I'm looking at my chat, and I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? I mean, you kind of need to spread out your point gain a bit, because a lot of the stages, bonus stages, require you to have different checkpoints for different ladders. So this is how I'm doing it. It's like, first I just focus on unlocking each CE. That's just 100%. I unlock, you know, the blue CE, the orange CE, then the pink CE, right? I just do that. I just laser that, and whatever I get on the side, great. And now I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna start working. Now that those are all done, now I've already got a lot of, you know, pink points, motivation. You can farm motivation. God, who knew? You could farm motivation. Who knew that? And you can fucking farm technique. I didn't know that one. Anyway, and so now I'm like, I need to start getting other points, and whatever shop mats I'll just get with time. That's just gonna happen naturally. So it's, yeah, focus on getting CEs, and then now I'm focusing on getting one of the point types that I don't have yet, and then also I'm doing a stage that drops Berserker gems, because I don't have too many Berserker gems, and I want to get Jolter up, I guess, and that's literally the only thing she's gonna need is Berserker gems. Everything else is really easy, so I'm like, might as well get the orange points. Might as well get the ticket drops, and then you might as well get Berserker gems while you're at it. And then once I got what I need from there, then I'll just move on to another stage. So the shop is like the lowest priority after you buy the CEs. Like, the tickets will just come. You know, I've been summoning nothing but people with ticket boost CEs, but now I'm not going to summon anybody with ticket boost CEs, because by the time I'm done with the ladder, I'm probably just going to naturally have most of the tickets that I need anyway. So it's kind of like, fuck it. Okay, this is the main story one. But sure, we'll go with Beowulf. That's cool. Yeah, I hate this event too, but I don't want to pass it up. 2 Grails, man. Man codes. And the thing is, once I've done it, I don't have to do the rerun. When this comes back next year, I don't have to do it. I might do it no, I probably won't do it. Rare prisms are great. You get so many freaking rare prisms from this event on the rerun. Because if you already have the command codes, one of the command codes gives you a rare prism instead. Every single copy of Jerker gives you a rare prism instead. So that's really nice. But I don't care about NA enough to play this on the rerun. No way. Like, it's hard enough to get me to play it now. Yeah, that's true. I probably won't need the rare prisms anyway. Yeah, I don't remember. I know the costumes give you something instead of the costume if you already have it. And it might be rare prisms. That might be right. So my god, that's a lot of rare prisms. That is tempting, but yeah, it's not that big of a deal. Well, Jinkei's dead. Just in case. This is just a random boss fight. It's 30k Jinkei, oh man. Wow, I gotta say, that really is a lot of... That is a lot of rare prisms. That's pretty... yeah, if you're on NA right now and you don't really have any rare prisms, make sure you do this event right now so you can do it again next year and get all those rare prisms, because that'll get you pretty much any emergency stuff you'd really need from the rare prism shop, like the Arjuna CE, Melty Sweetheart, Anniversary Blonde, although I would hope you have that by now. I stand by this. I think the first thing a free-to-play player should buy from the rare prism shop is Anniversary Blonde. I think it absolutely is the first thing. And then after that, it can be kind of context-specific to what maybe you need at the time. But I think the stuff that's really up there is definitely Melty Sweetheart and the Anti-Divinity one. Like, that stuff's really good. But yeah, Anniversary Blonde is awesome. It's a staple Mystic code. I was like, yeah, you don't use it necessarily as much as default, but you still use it plenty. There's plenty of situations where it's really good, so it's really good to get that up. Every account, I get my what am I saying? I get my default Mystic code to 10 first, and then I try to already have Anniversary Blonde bought after that, and then I try to get that to 10. And then I try to get the Switch Mystic code a few levels. I don't really worry about getting it to 10, but then I try to make sure it gets a few levels. Maybe I should have waited to make these stars, because Beowulf's only got the one card. Generally, if I take a break from FGO, I'll still play it some, but like I won't really be very active and I don't really worry about it. And then like when I'll just wait until they add good stuff, because I'm never burnt out on doing, you know, the good shit, like the main story, you know, fighting Zeus and all that good stuff, Demeter, etc., etc. That kind of stuff I'm always game for. So if I'm just kind of tired of farming and that kind of stuff, I just don't farm and that kind of thing, and I just wait for them to do something I care about. But yeah, I've really never been burnt out on FGO. Like I was talking about that last stream. Kind of wild, but I'm not complaining. I think part of why I don't get burned out though is the fact that I don't just like grind, right? I pace myself pretty well. I know what I enjoy and what I don't enjoy, and I make sure, how do I put this? I make sure the stuff that I don't like or I don't want to do, or like the really grindy stuff, I make sure I do those things while I'm doing something else. You know, while I'm reading a book or while I'm watching YouTube or whatever. You know, I don't sit, if I'm not streaming, like what I'm doing right now is pretty boring, right? And if I wasn't streaming right now, I wouldn't just sit down and stare at FGO and do this. I'd be doing something else and doing this on the side. I just always do that all of the time. And then when I am doing stuff, I'm like, oh, this is cool, you know, challenge quest or maybe damage testing or soloing or whatever, then I'm focusing on the game. And that's another thing I do is if I decide to focus on the game but I need to do something boring, I have fun while I'm doing it. There's a lot of events, like this event is pretty specific in what you need to do to be meta, right? You need to bring as many bonus servants and bonus CEs as possible, you know, so that you don't really have wiggle room to have fun, which sucks. That's one reason I don't like this event. But there are some events where you can be pretty meta about bringing a lot of bonus drop CEs or whatever you need to do to be efficient in the event. Because some events, there's no bonus stuff to bring, really. Like there's like a CE from the shop, right? And anything else that's bonus is from the gacha, and I don't generally roll on the gacha, so I don't have that shit anyway. So literally just bring the shop CE, and that's it, right? And so when that's the case, a lot of times I'll be like, let's have some fun, right? Let's bring, you know, these random setups, you know, and just see how they do. Let's see if we can make Lancelot do as much damage as possible, or I'll just bring Billy and get big crits. Even if it had been more efficient to do something else, I'll just, you know, go for crits anyway. Or then I'll bring an all-French team, or, you know, shit like that, and I just, you know, I'll mess around and have fun like that. And, you know, I legitimately enjoy that stuff. You know, I like using my favorite units. I like checking out the cool animations and whatnot. And when I want to sit there and grind, then I just won't focus on the game. So, ultimately for me, and like the way I play the game, I'm sure it's not for everyone, but like that methodology, if you will, has worked very well for me, and I just don't ever get burned out. Like, it's just not a thing for me. Yeah, Arjuna plays a lot of accounts. Puts me to shame on that one. And yeah, that's kind of what Arjuna just said. That's kind of the one account. I don't know, maybe I'm the only one that feels this way, but I guess some of it's because I'm not so obsessed with being overly efficient and overly farming and that kind of thing. I find it's pretty easy to get to an account where it's basically complete, right? And then you just need to keep up with like new things that they add, that you care about. Like, oh, they added a command code, I'll make sure I get that, right? But like my main account is pretty much complete. It's like, yeah, I want to get like Romulus's to 10, 10, 10 and stuff, but it's not like I have to do that this second. You know, it's fine. Like my main account feels totally complete. I have so many things leveled. I have all of my favorites, and I have so many CEs, and you know, I've got, you know, Ku and Billy both 2K FO'd completely, and a bunch of other people now and stuff. So it's like I can chill. I can really chill on my main, and that gives me more time to focus on like a new account or whatever. And then if I'm like, oh hey, something happened and now there's new stuff and I need to focus on that on my main account, I can just like the new account we just made, I can just put that on the back burner for a while and just not play it and just then focus on the main. And then when I don't have anything to do on the main, go back to the ult accounts and stuff. So it's actually been pretty easy for me to play ult accounts like that. Although Arjuna still has probably more ult accounts than I could handle. Hi Saber Nero, how are you doing? What am I doing again? Oh yeah, orange points. Orange points. Airy Robin, that's the one. Okay. Back on track. I always say, if you want to do 1 to 3 star stuff, don't do the 1 to 3 star CEs, right? I mean, you can if you want to, but that makes it annoying, and you have to farm so much more. If you just do 1 to 3 star units and just use the CEs you get, that's a lot smoother. But yeah, if you want to be strict and you want to make sure your supports are not carrying you or in line with whatever you want to do, it does help to have an ult account. It really does. Otherwise, you have to have a friend and that you can message like on Discord or text on your phone or whatever and be like, yo, can you slot this thing, right? Because a lot of times you might have people that you're friends with, but it might take you a while. They might not like, it might take a while to get like the chain going, right? Or they actually slot the thing or whatever, right? So, yeah, if you don't have a reliable way to get like access to a specific support, like that's not a 5-star, it's so easy to get a Merlin. That's the thing. It's so easy to have a Merlin on your team, even if you don't have them yourself. It's nothing, right? But actually getting someone to slot like, you know, Jinke or some shit is actually a pain in the ass. It's kind of funny how that works. So yeah, it really helps to have an ult. And that's why one of my NA team names is I don't have an NA ult feels bad, because I have to rely on like Cairo or Airy or someone to slot, you know, 3 stars if I want to do 3-star stuff. But it's happened a lot. I try to make a video for NA, and I'm like, oh god, everything on my support list is like Scatty, Waver, Merlin, you know, Ku Alter, shit like that. And I'm like, I want like just David or something, and it's actually hard to find that. It's like we should be able to not use the support system or something. Green plays more NA than me, and I only play NA, feels bad, man. I don't know, man. I don't know if I actually play more than you, because it's probably more like if I have more things than you, it's just I played more in the beginning. You know, I played NA a good bit for like the first year, and then I kind of to establish it. I was trying to like get my, you know, my trenches dug, if you will, right? And now that it's got like a nice base, you know, it's got its David leveled up, it's got Mash, it's got Robin, it's got its Q's done, you know, it's got a lot of like the fundamentals that I need. I basically don't play it at all. Like I like this is the first time I've really played it in God knows how long. So hey, what CE are we talking about? Are we talking about Poster Girl? The thing about Poster Girl is, you know, one, it's super good. It's just, you know, kind of OP. But it's generally not too hard to avoid it because people don't slot it very much. I think to this day, most people don't realize how good Poster Girl is, like overwhelmingly. And then not only that, even if people have it and they're aware of how good it is, most people slot CEs for farming. And Poster Girl is not generally that amazing for farming, right? So they're slotting like Bond bonus, right? Or QP bonus, because that's what gets them the most summons. You know, it's pretty rare to see someone slot like Waver with Poster Girl. Sure, Waver with Poster Girl is super impactful and great and strong and everything, but most people aren't fighting tough boss battles in the main story very often. You know, most people play through the story once and that's that. So it's actually pretty rare to see anyone have Poster Girl slotted. Also, and this, as good as Poster Girl is, it's still not like you can just slap Poster Girl on somebody and have it work on any team, right? The team has to have Poster Girl in mind. You have to be building around the idea of like, okay, we'll basically use Poster Girl as a free reload. Right? A lot of people either don't know how to do that or they don't have like the right stuff to do it. So a Poster Girl, as strong as it is oftentimes not a good general use CE on a support list, because the majority of your friends will either not know how to use it, not want to use it, or not have the team building options to work with it. So I think that's why you pretty much don't see it slot very often. You do see it slotted some, sure, but you don't see it that often. Normally when I see it slotted, it's when there's not an event going on, but there's a new story. Like I saw some people slot it during Lost Belt 5, because there was no event going on, everyone was doing Lost Belt 5, and everyone knew Lost Belt 5 Part 2 was quite difficult. So then I did see some people slot it there. But that, other than stuff like that, I very rarely see anyone slot it. I do see some at VC Bronze with Poster Girl, yeah, because that's a bit different. It's you don't need to do the typical stuff with Poster Girl for it to work with the VC Bronze, right? You don't need to build around it. Like everyone knows why Poster Girl is good on a VC Bronze. Like you can be new to the game and you're gonna be able to understand that. So yeah, but people don't slot a VC Bronze all that often, so, which is sad. He's awesome. Where should I place the Star Absorption command code on Robin? Art card, because art crits are the shit. The dream with Robin is you have Robin's NP and then you use Golden Rule, and then you've got like an art crit, and you've got art up from Tam or Mozart or whatever. So now you got art up and NP gain up, and then you crit with an art card, and you got that art, you know, NP up, and then you get your NP again, right? And Star Absorb just makes that more likely. The only time I might be like, maybe you don't want to do that is if you use Mozart like religiously. Like If you're always using Mozart and your Mozart's third skill is 10, right, then you don't really need Star Absorb at that point. But the thing is, at this point in NA, it's not like you have a lot of other command codes to pick from. I mean, NA has fuck all command codes, you know, worth a damn right now. So there's not much point in waiting. If you like Robin, you might as well go for it, so. Yeah, so with Poster Girl, it is good limit broken, but generally you don't use it for the attack up, you use it for the taunt. So I would not limit break it unless I had other copies of it. I'd want it to be, so like I would have to have, if I was going to limit break Poster Girl, I'd want to have 2 other Poster Girls available. So I could have 3 Poster Girls. Because it can legitimately be really strong to have a unit that can like tank a good bit for you and like right before dying NP, and then their NP is going to have an 80% attack up, right? And then they die and tank for you one last turn. Like that's great, that's super strong, but the important part is the tanking. Right, like in knowing where the enemy's going to attack and guaranteeing that the enemy's not about to. Why did I not use any of my defensive skills last turn? Anyway, and guaranteeing like that unit you're protecting does not get attacked, that kind of stuff. So the attack up is a bonus. It's not the main reason to use it. The only time maybe you might want to consider limit breaking it before that would be if like you don't like using it with the whole buff stacking nonsense. Like you're not like kind of like me. I generally don't like using it that way because it's kind of OP. But, so if you're like, yeah, I don't really want to use it in the OP way, but oh man, I like my boy a VC Braun, right? Then I'd probably limit break it, because if you're just going to slap a single copy on a VC Braun, you're not going to do the whole, you know, buff cycling comp protection bullshit, you might as well have a VC Braun do, you know, plus 80% damage on his NP, you know, so yeah, if like a VC Braun's your favorite shit ever, then maybe go for it. But outside of that very specific circumstance, I would generally not limit break it unless I had extra copies beyond it. Oh man, Life in Ash, I love this song so much. I know I like always like Armored Core music, but it's not my favorite Armored Core song, but it's up there, man. Like, and I guess in a way it's technically not an Armored Core song, but it really is. Like, it's made by the people that do the Armored Core soundtrack, and they just made like an album, just music. It's not connected to a game, but it's all completely in the style of Armored Core, so it's basically an Armored Core song. And it's actually, I think they actually used elements in this song from like Viper and stuff, like other songs from Armored Core. So it's an Armored Core song. Oh wait, this is wave 2. I need to be careful here, let's not be stupid. Man, VC Braun is such an awesome character. It makes me so sad that the anime scuffed him so hard. So, there's a few different styles of Armored Core game, and it's kind of hard to know, like, you know, who's gonna like which style the best. Generally, I would say the Armored Core game that I think the majority of people would enjoy the most is Armored Core 4 Answer. I think in terms of just gameplay and like production value and everything and like smooth controls and stuff, I would say that's the one most people would enjoy the most. But if you really want to get into the story and stuff, you really need to play Armored Core 4 first. Armored Core 4 Answer is a direct sequel to Armored Core 4, and it's not like it's one of those sequels, it's like, oh, you don't need to play the original. You really do. The way the story is set up, like, you absolutely do. So if you wanted to just play it for the gameplay and stuff, then you could just play 4 Answer. And you could definitely get the story of 4 Answer on its own, but it's a lot better if you understand the connections between it and 4. But anyway, so yeah, if you want to play just for gameplay, I would say Armored Core 4 Answer. But there's no way for me to know this. If you would prefer the more old school style of Armored Core, I would say like one of there's a few versions of Armored Core 3. I would say one of those is probably the best. I think Armored Core 3 is the best of the old school Armored Core games, and then I think 4 Answer is the best of like the more current stuff. And I do think Verdict Day is good, but Verdict Day is basically designed for co-op, and if you don't have a buddy to play the co-op with, there's not much point in playing that game, to be honest. And I don't think Verdict Day has a very good story, like, at all, unfortunately. I mean, I've made content for other games other than FGO, and you know, eventually FGO is not going to be relevant forever, right? And so if I want to stay afloat, I'm going to have to make content for other things. But I mean, there's loads of things that interest me. I've kind of have not really thought about it too much because I don't want to like trap myself. I'll just go with the flow, right? Like if it gets to the point where I need to start making other content, I'll just make whatever interests me. I'm not going to be like, I'll make sure it's this kind of thing or that kind of thing, right? You know, I'll try to still do the kind of stuff that I always do. One thing that I definitely want to do, and I've always wanted to do this, I would like to do like if Elden Ring has good PvP, I would like to do PvP commentary stuff for that. But I might put it on a different channel. That's the thing. But you know, I like all kinds of games, and like even on my YouTube channel right now, you know, I've got Vandictus boss videos. I've got like you know, videos for like, you know, Gundam and stuff, like the SD Gundam, like turn-based games and things like that, like showing off the animations and stuff. So yeah, just, you know, I'll go with the flow. Kind of depends on how things go. It's difficult though with the style of content I make. You can't just make the kind of videos I make like just out of nowhere because it won't be good, right? Like if I don't understand, I have to know the game pretty well. Like with the kind of videos I make for FGO, like with the really highly like edited music and like trying to, you know, give it like a vibe and all this stuff, you have to be pretty good at the game and be very knowledgeable of the game, I think, to make like that work well. And so I can't just jump into a new game and be able to do that. And a lot of people won't be interested in that, right? Like I'm kind of lucky that the kind of content I make is pretty specific. And normally people don't like that kind of content very much so. Like I think the reason people like it from me is I kind of lucked out with you know, people being interested in the kind of low star side of things, and then so I think people started, like, for real, I think a lot of people started watching my content because I was doing things that was helpful. Like I was showing off units I could solo, like Nerofest bosses. That's ultimately when my content kind of blew up, and then I started doing like low star stuff, and then that kind of got people like subconsciously used to like what I do. With the music and everything, and then they kind of got used, you know, they kind of saw my taste and whatnot, and they're like, oh, okay, this is, I like this, right? And or some be like, oh, I don't like this, and they just stopped watching it, right? I couldn't just slap out like the kind of videos that I do out of the blue and like get anything. It would normally be like totally whatever, right? So I kind of got lucky. I mean, it's not hard to kill Guadia super fast, like. It's pretty normal. Yeah, my channel was like, my channel predates FGO dramatically, and I had like, you know, I get like 100 views on a video, right? It was, and that was, it wasn't bother me. I mean, I never really expected more than that. And when I started doing FGO stuff, I still really didn't get any views. Although back then, FGO was only in Japan, and not a lot of English speakers were really aware of it. But yeah, I got like known and all that because of Nerofest. And for real, I am a lot better at the game now, at least if I'm focusing. I'm a lot better at the game now than I was then. But I still knew the game decently well back then. Because I'd been playing for a while. I didn't, you know, I didn't really start making FGO videos until I'd been playing it for almost a year or so, and then I didn't get like known until even further after that. And if I hadn't kind of, you know, figured the game out fairly well, I don't think I ever would have gotten anywhere. And like my whole thing, it's like I kind of apply this to almost any video I did, like for Vandictus and stuff, even though I only got like, you know, 50 views or whatever back then. I've had the same mindset that I have in FGO, where it's like I just don't want to trivialize the boss. You don't understand how specific and niche like my taste is, and like how what I do came about, right? I remember watching, like, for example, Tales of videos, you know, Tales of Vesperia, Tales of Symphonia, people with like solo bosses and stuff. And people would figure those games out, and they'd find like a lot of like ways, cheesy or otherwise, where they could literally just stun lock the boss, right? And although some of those things would require a degree of technicality that was impressive. Hi Ninja, how you doing? Imagine not using double scatty and admin for all your videos, alright? But anyway, so you have these Tales of videos where like maybe someone's soloing Zoggy, the Zoggy boss fight with, you know, Flynn or Yuri or whatever. And again, even if sometimes they'd use technical stuff and sometimes it'd be just cheesy, it didn't really matter to me either way. They would just fight the boss in a way where the boss couldn't even fight back. And like all their interesting things about the boss were irrelevant. And I'm like, this is fucking boring. Right? I'm like, I like Zoggy. I don't want to see Zoggy just get stun locked in every video. And then that's that. I never liked that stuff, right? I've always felt, and I remember that left a big impression on me when I was younger, watching people like make boss fight videos for games and just trivializing the boss. And not a lot of times, not even in a skillful way. You can appreciate somebody that's so good at like, you know, Ninja Gaiden or Devil May Cry, where the boss is just never hitting them, right? That's fine, right? But then like if you find like some tactic where you can stun lock the boss so the boss never even attacks you, it's not very good. So I remember I'm like, man, I don't, you know, with FGO, I just want to like use units I like, and I want to make sure I'm not cheesing the bosses. I learned on my own, you know, I didn't need, you know, to interact with community to realize, oh hey, you know, Merlin, kind of strong, you can kind of be a dumbass and beat these bosses, right? Like, so I just was like, yeah, I want to like make kind of videos like that, but I want to not trivialize the boss. And then like a lot of stuff I do, like I fail at this sometimes, but I always try to like, it is so funny, you can see this directly correlates to what I was just talking about with Tales of. I hope people realize this, that like, the people that like my videos anyway, that I try to make the boss look good. Like, I 100% do that. I put a lot of effort a lot of times into trying to make the boss look good. Like, I'll give them music, and I'll like try to time things for like the boss and stuff, and I try to make sure, you know, like if I'm doing a solo, that I'm not like, it's a solo that's gonna be close, and I don't just steamroll it. Right? And if I'm doing 1 to 3 star stuff, you just have to do whatever works, because, you know, that's just tough. But I really do try to make the boss look cool, because I always try to remember somebody's gonna really like the boss, like the character, right? And nobody wants to see that character just, you know, get shit on, and like all the music and stuff is all tailored towards the other people. I'm like, you know, I like that. I like making the boss look good too, because it's better that way. It's like back and forth, and also gives you like more music options. I don't know. I've always been like that. Like when I did Vandictus stuff, I did the same thing. I tried to like, you know, kind of do it half the music for the character and half the music for the boss. Yeah, there's a lot of Tales of videos where the boss can't even move. I get so tired of that kind of thing. So. Like, sometimes like learning what's going on under the hood to figure out how to trivialize a boss like that can be entertaining, absolutely. But kind of once you've done it, right? And then it gets really old and it gets really samey when there's like there's all these other tactics and stuff that don't result in that, and like I like the variety from that kind of stuff. I like how I was attacking this trash mob this whole time and I'm just gonna NP it, which like makes absolutely no sense. That's one reason why I like the Zeus fight so. Dude, I miss Vandictus. I miss old school Vandictus so much. That game is like a shell of its former self, like from a gameplay standpoint. God, I had so much fun in Vandictus. I played almost every character and I learned them really well, and I had so much fun. Like I liked, like same thing with Vandictus. Most boss solos in Vandictus back in the day were the person would be super overgeared, like super overgeared. And generally these would still have to understand the boss decently well, sure, but a big part of what would like allow them to do a no-hit run or whatever, like this is so nerdy what I'm about to talk about, but like you have to know Vandictus really well, I think, to understand what the fuck I'm talking about here. But so there was a boss called Black Hammer, and this is way back in the day. Like pretty quickly Black Hammer became a kind of a trivial boss because they made the player characters so much stronger. It was very easy to solo Black Hammer. But in the early days, when Black Hammer was like a new boss, especially for this character called Lon, who was like a dual sword guy and he had to like dodge a lot. So, if you wanted to solo him with Lon, if you tried to stay close to him and actually fight him kind of like, you know, up close, it was ungodly difficult. Like some of his hitboxes on the boss's attacks were just so difficult to dodge if you were close to the boss. So everyone that soloed him back in the day would not stand close to the boss. If you can literally go back and find like the solo videos from like the early days of Vandictus, Most people soloing them nowadays are just the characters are so overpowered it's not even a thing. But like the early solos, they would stay like max range, and then they wouldn't attack until the boss had already attacked himself, and so they would stay like the very maximum distance to like be in range of to start attacking, but then so they were kind of further away from the boss. The reason for that, because if you were further away from the boss's hitbox wouldn't like be inside of you as long, so it was easier to dodge. Where if you were like up close to him and trying to attack him often, you'd be so close to him when the boss attacked you, you'd be in the hitbox so much longer that the window of like being able to evade properly was so much smaller, and it was so fucked up like nobody did it. And so almost everyone that soloed Black Hammer with Lawn would overgear the shit out of it. And you might say, well, what does it matter if they wouldn't get hit? But it's because that tactic where you stay really far away from the boss, you actually do so much less damage that way. Because you hardly ever attack him. And you don't hit him with very many combos. So the only way to kill him in a reasonable amount of time with this like way safer tactic of staying away from him requires you to have godly gear. So the few times you hit him, you're doing enough damage to like, you know, get the ball rolling, right? Where I like to do fighting and where I decided to do, and this took me forever to do, but I would remain very close to the boss, so learning how to dodge him was a million times harder, but my gear was not very good, so for me to kill him in a reasonable amount of time, I had to attack him a lot more, and like, that kind of stuff I just like a lot more. Like, I see that a lot in Vandictus where, you know, yeah, they wouldn't get hit by the boss any, but they also would like use a tactic that wouldn't actually work if they didn't have like, you know, insanely high attack speed and stuff like that. But yeah, Vandictus, old game. Still around, and it's still a decent game, but the leveling is so boring now, and the game's a lot easier. It's a lot easier than it used to be. And like, it still has hard content, but it doesn't have hard content until you get to endgame. Vandictus used to be this game where like, just leveling was really entertaining, and like every boss you fought when leveling was like a you know, something you had to really sit down and think about and, you know, figure out the hitboxes and figure out your own character. And it was, leveling in Vandictus used to be really fun, and you had so many fun bosses on the way up. But then over time, they made the player characters so much stronger. They have like way stronger evasion abilities, and they have way higher stats, and then they just give you so much gear when you're leveling now, and you level up so much faster that you trivialize the bosses. You can like one-shot them, and they will take like 80 hits to kill you and stuff. And like interacting with their mechanics isn't interesting anymore, because those early bosses were designed for like when the characters, when they like evaded, they couldn't evade very far. They couldn't travel very far. So like the enemy hitboxes were smaller and stuff. But now the player characters can like, you know, jump over mountains and shit. And so these old bosses that have like these smaller hitboxes and stuff just can't even pose a threat to you in the slightest. And it's just not fun anymore. Which is just a shame, because my god, I used to enjoy that game so much. And nowadays, like, and god, a big problem with Vandictus nowadays is because they made the player characters so powerful. And by the way, the reason the characters are so powerful is because they had the philosophy of always buff, never nerf. And whenever they'd make a new character that was just randomly too strong, instead of nerfing that character, they'd buff up the entire cast to be on that level. And then a new character would just get over buffed and be the new OP character, then you have to buff everyone else again up to that point. And they just kept doing this, and it just got to the point where the player characters were just fucking stupid. And so now when they make new bosses, to make those new bosses difficult, they rely on like extremely like gimmicky things that aren't really about like the kind of the old school like hardcore things about knowing your hitboxes and your iframes and your like when you're vulnerable and like all that stuff isn't nearly as relevant. It's way more about like stupid gimmicks and stuff. There's still good things about the game though. It's still fun. It's still got a good actiony combat system, and like the characters are still, you know, pretty unique, and there are some good bosses and stuff. But leveling is so boring now, and like the game is just so bloated. There's so many problems with it now. It's a real shame, because my god, I loved that game back in the day. But hopefully someday there'll be another game that's similar to it. There really never has been, but hopefully we'll get one eventually. There's this game right now, its code name is Project BBQ, which is pretty stupid. But that kind of looks like it might be in the spirit of it, but I don't know. We don't know enough about it to say, so we'll see. Yeah, most games have a real problem with like trivializing the early game as the game goes on, and then making it really boring, and then like over bloating things and stuff. That's a pretty common problem. I mean, FGO is starting to have that problem, and I really hope they address that. I'm worried they're not going to, though. Yeah, not nerfing things is a real problem, but it's actually really common, and it's because nerfing things pisses people off. It's also it's much easier to buff other characters than to nerf someone. Nerfing actually requires a lot of, to nerf things properly, it requires a lot of effort and thought in testing and stuff. Some games don't do that, and they just, like, you know, take the baseball bat to somebody and just ruin the character, but, like, a lot of times if you nerf someone, you have to be very, you know, tactical about it. You might need to buff them in another area and make them ultimately weaker, but then give them other benefits and stuff, and most developers just can't be bothered to do that. It's so much easier to just buff everyone. Like, it's not like Vindictus would snap their fingers and buff everyone at once. They would do it over time. I mean, I basically have to farm with MASH because I have, like, no bonus servants on this account, and I want to bring as much bonus as possible. And MASH, I'm not exaggerating, MASH and Robin are the only 2 bonus servants I have on this account that are leveled. And I basically have no bonus servants on this account. And I have, it's MASH, Robin, and the Summer Welfares. That's it. That's all I got. I got MASH, Robin, and the Summer Welfares. And I didn't level most of the Summer Welfares. So, this is basically the only way that I can bring, like, the maximum amount of bonus point. And then still not, you know, just get immediately killed. So, it's kind of rough. I remember I only played League like so many years ago, I haven't played it in such a long time. But I remember playing it some back in the day, and I remember when they first added, is Ari, is her name Ari, I think? Or Ari? I think it's Ari, that's what it is. Anyway, I remember when they first added Ari, she was like so fucking strong, and she was in like every top team ever, but I have no idea what it's like now. That was like fucking 10 years ago or some shit. The game is like so different now. I know, and I had a lot of problems with League even back then. Like, it was something fun to do with your friends and stuff, but there's so many things I don't like about League, even from the get-go. Like, there's a lot of fundamental issues I have with that game. Yeah, there are definitely some games that when they nerf somebody, they just run them. Like you'll have like a class in an MMO or something that's like too strong. Or like a spec for a class in an MMO is too strong, and then they, instead of just like taking the scalpel to them, they take the bazooka, right, and they just smash them, and then like for like the rest of the year or the expansion or whatever, they're just like dead, right? It's just stupid. Like that kind of game design is really bad. You want to, like, you know, be pretty tactical with your nerfing. I've always been a fan, if you're gonna nerf in one area, buff in another. You don't have to buff it a lot in another area. Yeah, I've heard Blizzard is bad about that now. I don't really keep up with, like, the current Blizzard stuff, but I know, like, the current, the modern era of WoW, I know they're, like, famous for that. Oh shit, why did I just buff? I don't have my NP. What am I doing? Whoops. How to play FGO, by the way. Yeah, I mean, competitive games are kind of famous for having... Okay, here's the thing. I'm not... Like, you gotta understand, I don't like League of Legends very much in terms of, like, its game design and stuff like that. I don't like the whole, like, buying items, which get, like... Basically, it's get ahead, get more ahead. That's what League of Legends is, right? Like, you kill somebody, like, and then you get gold, and you buy items, and now you have a stat advantage over your enemy. Not a skill advantage, you have a stat advantage. So it's get ahead, get more ahead. I just don't like that kind of game. That's just not... That's not my kind of shtick. It's actually pretty lame, in my opinion. Anyway, but, so, I'm going to defend League of Legends here, even though, I swear to God, like, I'm not biased in its favor. I'm actually probably biased against it. But, League of Legends is beyond famous for having a toxic community. But I legitimately don't think it does have one. I think it's just a situation where you only notice the toxic individuals. I guarantee you, if you played League of Legends for 50 games, and you actually kept track, you looked, every time you started a game, you wrote, I think it's what, 5v5? It's been a long time. I'm pretty sure it's 5v5. So you write, it's 10 players each game. You don't count, so 9 players each game. So you write down, so you start a game and you write down these 9 names. And then as the game plays, you if anyone is like really toxic, you put like a toxic, next to their name, right? And you play 50 games like this. I guarantee you're gonna have way more names on your list that weren't toxic than are. And so those people probably didn't even say anything in chat, or these said like there's a guy top, right? But like they didn't talk much, right? And then you have, it's the same for the forums and stuff. There's just so many people you never see. I guarantee, I'm so sure the majority of the League of Legends community is just trying to play their fucking game, right? They're just like, yeah, I think the characters look cool and I like the teamwork and I enjoy the competitive stuff, right? And they don't like all that toxic bullshit either. It's just you so easily notice the one guy that's being a twat, or the 2 guys that are being a twat, but then you don't notice the 5 guys that aren't being a twat, right? This is and for real, I'm not like completely blanket defending League here, because this is a fact. We've done studies on this and it's quite obvious that people get in a more aggressive mindset when they're playing a competitive game. And it's not unique to video games. This is true for chess. This is true for fucking chess, right? A competitive element will put people in a more aggressive mindset, generally. And so they're more likely to say something without thinking and that kind of thing. Now, still, most people, even in a slightly more aggressive mindset, are still not going to be like super toxic. But life in general, it just has some people that are twats and that are toxic and are rude, and those just exist in life anyway. And then when you give everyone like a shot in the arm that makes them a bit more aggressive, that's going to be more extreme now. So any competitive environment is going to have more toxic environment than what you're going to see in like Hello Kitty, right? It's just the nature of it. It's just, a fact. But I don't think League has a more toxic community than really any other competitive game. It's a lot easier to be exposed to it, and it's just due to the nature of like the chat and the communication and that kind of thing. It's very easy to focus in on the people that are being toxic, and for that to be what's memorable. And this is another scientific fact. Humans remember negative things a lot more than positive. That's a sad thing, but it just is what it is. It's like negative things stand out in your brain a lot more. You can get 100 nice comments on YouTube and one really fucking nasty one, and you're going to remember the nasty one, right? It's just how it goes. I try to constantly remind myself about all the nice comments and stuff because of that. I'm aware, because I remember before I was like, getting YouTube comments and all that, I would see other creators and it was obvious that they focused more on the negative than the positive. And I understood why. It didn't make me mad, but I tried to make sure that I remember at all times, whenever I'm dealing with somebody that's being a twat, that I remember there's all these other people that are being really nice, right? Or aren't even leaving a comment, at all. So it's like, it's good to remember that. And it's the same for League, it's the same for Halo, for Call of Duty, for Fortnite, whatever. These things are generally true, where there's a lot less toxic people than toxic, and there's a lot more nice or neutral people than negative. It's just, I don't know, it's just social media and the internet and all that kind of stuff. It's so easy to see the negative and not the positive. Because like I've played plenty of like I was actually playing a PvP game last night, and there was a guy in chat that was being blaming the team, saying everyone sucks and blah 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 blah. And I remember having the thought of like, this guy is being a twat, but literally the other 10 people in this game are all being totally fine, right? So it's like it's not that big of a deal, and so I just ignored that guy and it was fine. So, but yeah, it's just negative stuff stands out. It is what it is. Let's see. If we can get an art crit here. And I wish I had not wasted that attack buff earlier. That was a mistake. And that's the thing. Competition is a tricky thing because I love competition. It's very fun. It's very enjoyable, but I don't enjoy all the toxic EP-ness nonsense either. It's fun to compete. I like it. It gets you to focus on things you normally wouldn't focus on. It's fun. It's an easy way to see yourself improve because you can directly compare yourself to your peers and stuff. And it adds a lot of replay value to games specifically. Competitive stuff goes way beyond just games, but like in Dark Souls, there's way more to do in that game if you focus on the PvP and the competitive stuff, and that's really fun. But at the same time, I don't enjoy all the toxicity nonsense and EP-ness nonsense and that kind of stuff. So you kind of always have to walk the line, and that was something in real life that, you know, my younger days, I did a lot of martial arts, and I did mixed martial arts and those kinds of things. And I was pretty fortunate that I found a group of people that were pretty untoxic and stuff. But like, so my father ran a school that, you know, he would teach, you know, MMA and stuff, and the people he would train would fight in local competitions, and they actually did very well locally, and so then they went to, like, you know, bigger stuff. And my God, though, there were just the toxicity even in like that, and like a real life sport and stuff was there too, right? It's a bit more passive aggressive and that kind of thing, but it was so prevalent there too and stuff, and I just hate that stuff. It's annoying, right? Like, yeah, I've never enjoyed, you know, the toxic side of things. It's not, you know, and sometimes you get caught up in it and you become toxic sometimes, right? It just happens and you have a bad day or whatever, right? But yeah, I love competition. I love competition so much. I love combat and all that stuff. It's super enjoyable to me. But yeah, it's kind of a weird thing where you really like something, but then you really hate something that it's really a common companion to it. Also, another issue, so something I don't like about esports. Something I really don't like about esports. This is, it's like Field from Mabinogi, which is connected to the Vandictus universe, funnily enough. Anyway, something I don't like about esports, I believe this pretty firmly, and I've seen so much evidence for this throughout my life, and even today, just literally today, I saw some stuff that was really pointing to this, is, okay, a competitive element will generally get taken to the extreme, right? Like, if you add a competitive element to a game, and if the game is popular, it's going to get taken to the extreme. You know, you're going to have esports and people trying to not just be good, but be the best. Right? This actually, in my opinion, gets crazy unhealthy. Now, it's not my business to tell somebody what to do with their time and how to make their money or what, like, if you want to be on an esports team, go nuts. That's your life, not mine. You got your priorities. You know, my opinion just does not matter. But I have seen overwhelmingly that, like, esports is unhealthy as fuck, right? It's not just that it breeds toxicity, it's that it breeds people, like, doing incredibly unhealthy things, like incredibly unhealthy things, like spending way too much time, you know, focusing on the game and hurting themselves and not sleeping enough and damaging their wrists, and it's just, and then you have like a lot of esports teams and stuff that basically get desperate, right? Because it's just like with sports where, like, people use, you know, drugs and stuff because everyone else is using drugs, and if you want to compete, you have to use drugs, right? And you have to try to get away with it. If you get caught, you get busted, and everyone acts like you're the worst person. Meanwhile, they're using drugs too, right? It's kind of the same thing where you have, like in a lot of competitive scenes, you know, under the hood, these teams will do anything to get an edge. Literally anything. The morality goes out the fucking window, right? And it's just a matter of getting caught or not. And it's just so unhealthy and just bad. Like, and it's because trying to, like, when you look at how good some people get at, like, you know, Overwatch or League of Legends or whatever, they're so good at these games, it's stupid, right? It's like no human should actually be that good at the game, because a normal human should have to worry about eating and having, you know, a life and sleeping and, you know, other responsibilities and stuff. And when you have people that when it's all about just not just being the good, but being the absolute best, and then everyone else is, because if you're not willing to sacrifice, the other team is, right? If you want to have a life and you want to, like, get sleep and all this shit, but the other team's, you know, willing to sacrifice these things, they're going to be better than you. Right? It's a grind. It's an endless grind, and there's no cap. It's like there's no cap. Because if you're not willing to make a sacrifice, the other side is willing to make that sacrifice. This results in such an unhealthy, like, and I seriously, if you look into this stuff and you look into, like, a lot of this shit that happens behind the scenes in esports and stuff, or even in mainstream sports and stuff, it's just awful. Like, it's just bad. Like, it really is just bad, like how unhealthy it gets. So yeah, I'm not a fan. Like, I'm not. And then you also have this insane standard where you have, like, the regular players trying to, like, mimic the esports and stuff, and it's just, it's not good. Like, it's not good. Like, it's not. And again, it's not my life. These people can do whatever they want, and it's fine. And so yeah, Ari, to your point here, extreme competition I think can be pretty bad, but I actually really like I said earlier, I really like competitive stuff. I just don't like it when it's taken to that level. and when people get so toxic about it. And unfortunately, like I said, competition makes people more aggressive often, and that can lead to toxicity. Not always, but it can. And so I dislike that side of it. But I love competition. I love competition quite a lot. You know, the actual, like, the reason it exists, and, you know, you got, like, the Olympics, and, you know, and, like, where these things came from and stuff, and, like, the mindset that's behind it, and I actually like a lot. But, yeah, it's gotten pretty fucked up, I think, as time has gone. Things have gotten too meta, I would say. Yeah, I mean, dude, when you just look at, like, the esports scene and just League of Legends, for example, I mean, it's really unhealthy, in my opinion. Like, it is very unhealthy, and I think it also, like I said, it's a very bad role model. Like it's a terrible role model for kids and stuff when you see people playing games that much and not taking care of themselves, and then just, like, all these under the hood stuff that these people do to try to get ahead and stuff. Like in fucking World of Warcraft, which is such a, you know, non-competitive game, but people get so fucking competitive about it anyway because, you know, penis. You have, like, the top guilds and stuff getting caught, like, you know, buying gold with real money and stuff because you know, to compete with everyone, you just have to, you have to do so many things that are so time consuming and are so, you know, not fun, that they end up trying to, you know, find any little thing to save themselves time and those kinds of things, and it's just, you know, it's just bad. I always find it funny when, like, in sports, like, legitimately, when you have everyone in the sport taking, you know, like, steroids, for example, and someone gets caught, and then everyone in the sport, like, tries to stand on their soapbox and act like, oh, I can't believe this guy disgraced the sport by using, you know, steroids. Meanwhile, they're all using steroids. They're all using steroids, right? Everyone, like, high-end sports uses drugs. And so if you want to compete, if you want to keep up, you have to too. If you want to be, like, the clean guy that doesn't, I'm going to work hard and I'm not going to take drugs and stuff, you're just going to lose. Because those other guys, they're working hard too. They're working 24/7. It's not like they're using drugs to be lazy. They're working their ass off and they're using drugs. So if you're the guy that just works his ass off and doesn't use drugs, you're just so behind, you're gonna lose. Like, I mean, it's sad, man. It's just sad. And, like, of course this happens because you're never gonna be able to police these things perfectly. People are gonna find a way around these things. So you're always gonna have that guy that's willing to sacrifice everything for the sport and take drugs and not get caught. So it makes everyone else have to do the same thing, right? That's so unhealthy. Well, there are people in esports that I would say are very healthy. It's not like every single person in every single esport is unhealthy and, like, promotes an unhealthy mindset and stuff. But I'd say the industry as a whole does, even though there are individuals within it that actually sometimes are you know, are promoting, you know, healthy things and whatnot. And the thing is, it's not as simple as, oh, I'm going to the gym as well, so we're promoting a healthy lifestyle. That's not true. Like, because a lot of times their social skills are still completely fucked. They're still spending, you know, like these, like, well, a lot of the stuff we'll see because the esports hasn't been around long enough to see what happens to these people when they grow up. But look at regular sports. There's a real dark side to regular sports that the media tries very hard to cover up. And that's what happens to, like, professional wrestlers, football players, boxers and stuff when they get old. There's a reason you don't see a lot of that, and it's because their lives are generally fucked, right? Because they've destroyed their bodies and, like, they've given themselves a million concussions and stuff. And, like, a lot of football players turn out to be fucking idiots because they literally get brain damage. This is not a secret. Most football players get a lot of brain damage, right? It's fucked. Right, and, like, most professional wrestlers, their bodies are just fucking destroyed by the time they're, like, 35, right? It's insanity, right? And for esports, I think you're going to have different consequences that aren't necessarily the same as what you see in real sports, but I think you're going to see a lot of really fucked up consequences and a lot of, like, you know, ex-esports professionals that are miserable in their older age. Now, it's not for me to say, you know, it's like, I'm not God here. It's like, I'm sure some people are gonna, you know, go and do it and enjoy it and grow up to be happy. And even if there are consequences, it'll be worth it. It's completely up to them, not me. But I really do think, you know, this extreme competitive nature. And again, it's hard to deny because there's so much fucking cheating. There's so much fucking cheating in esports. And a lot of it just doesn't get caught, but a lot of it does. And it's like that cheating doesn't come about because everybody's bad. It's not like, oh, these people they're just the bad apples. It's because people are so desperate to get any edge they can because it's, again, just like with people using steroids and a lot of competitions and stuff, it's because if the other people are willing to do the dirty stuff and you're not, you generally just fall behind. But the public won't know that. They'll just say you're losers. And again, I said, it's their lives. They can do whatever they want. I am not saying ban esports, not at all. And it's still impressive to see people that are that good at, certain games and stuff. And I respect the hard work and that kind of stuff, because it is hard work, very much so. But just like with regular sports, I think there's a real dark side to regular sports. I think there absolutely is a dark side to esports, and I think it just, people have been ignoring it. Although some of it's kind of hard to ignore at this point. I always find that funny. You'll have an esports team that's not doing so good, and then everyone calls them losers. Meanwhile, they're still better than like 99.99% of like the human population at that thing. There's some exceptions to that. Every once in a while, you have teams that like have no business being there. Like I remember there was like that one Russian team. I don't remember their name, but like they literally like never won a game ever, and they like were just so bad. Like the basics of, I think it was League. It was like a Russian League team that they never won a game. And they were like blatantly worse at the game than like the average League player, right? Yeah, I think it was like they had like a gimmick where they were like all female or something like that, and that was the reason it existed. And it wasn't like they got on the team because they met a certain skill check. I don't remember why. I don't know why you would do it. Like I don't know why would you do an all female team in League? That might have been it though. I don't know why you would do that though. But there was some kind of, maybe it wasn't quite that. There was some kind of gimmick where it wasn't about them being. Like they legitimately didn't deserve to be there. I just remember that they were blatantly worse at the game than the average player, right? And yet the bankroll was there for a while, and so they stayed in the competition for like a long time. Like that was a bit disgraceful, but that generally doesn't happen. And generally, even if you have a pro team that's kind of behind, they're still so much better than the average person. Oh, that's what it was. Right, they were like a team that was like they were kind of going under, and like they originally had like a normal roster, and they were supposed to sell the team or something like that, but they couldn't. And so to like in a desperate attempt to like stay open, they just like did like a gimmick. That's I think what it was, and that's why they weren't like actually good at the game, and they weren't like a real team. That's what it was. Yeah, it was ultimately money. That was the thing. It's ultimately money. It was like, yeah, they were like the team needed to be sold, but it couldn't be sold or some shit like that. And so they just tried to do a stupid gimmick or something like that. That's what it was. Man, that was a long time ago. So, and I never even followed it that much. It was just it kind of was like kind of general gaming thing. And that's happened in some other contexts too, though, where you have teams that like form for just dumb gimmicks that aren't have nothing to do with actually being good at the game. That never works out, obviously. Because like, again, just losing all your games, I don't think automatically means you necessarily should be kicked. It's when like it's obvious that they're not even like as good as the average player, that it's like, okay, this is kind of a waste of time. I will give it to League. Like I said, I'm biased against League if anything, but I really will give it to League. The fact that they've stayed relevant for as long as they have. I just realized, I think I've been farming this node over and over again. No, wait, no. I think wait, what was I farming? I'm not sure what I was just doing, to be honest. I should have been farming the Pinth node, but I'm not sure I was actually doing that. But I'll do this node real quick because I need to get the silver apple. But I was so zoned. You were doing the Pinth again? Okay. I actually had no idea what I was just doing for like the last hour. I had no idea. So I could have been doing something very stupid there. Yeah, I'm not really into esports personally, but it's been fascinating to follow the industry because it's just interesting because you have the business side and the human side and how it interacts with regular video games and just the fact that it's such a new thing, but it's growing so much that it's been fascinating to follow, even though I don't sit down and actually watch esports that much. I do every once in a while, depending on what it is, but not much at all. Yeah, I think it was like they lost a game like faster than like the surrender time, right? Like you're not allowed to surrender unless a certain amount of time goes by, and they actually lost before that, which is pretty wild. Yeah, that's why you don't do dumb gimmicks. That's why you just don't do, you gotta make a team based on how these guys are actually good, but I would say, so in terms of fighting games, I would say fighting games lend themselves the best to a sport in terms of mechanics, because they're generally, they're designed with like a fair competitive landscape in mind. Ultimately though, esports aren't about what games are actually the best competitive games and or most sportsmanlike and or most fair and balanced. They're ultimately about what's popular. Like that's it. That's all. Any game. Why do you think there's fucking Fortnite esports? Fortnite has got to be the stupidest fucking game to have esports in. It's a battle royale. You can't have an esport in a battle royale. And look at their like a lot of the competitions for Fortnite is like you'll have two teams that go into the same game, and the competition is who gets the most kills, right? Because you can't really have a direct competition in fucking Fortnite. It inherently doesn't work. So esports are ultimately built around what has an audience. Not at all what makes a good competitive game. Like not even close, right? You know, League and Fortnite and all these things, they have large esports simply because they're popular. That's all there is to it. And so, unfortunately, fighting games are somewhat niche. They have appeal, but not the mainstream appeal a lot of these other games have. So, funnily enough, even though I think fighting games make the fairest, best competitive game for the most part, they don't have that much of a following, right? They really don't. They have a following, definitely. They're not like, they're getting by, but yeah, they kind of pale in comparison to a lot of other stuff. But in terms of gameplay, I respect fighting games a lot. I mean, sometimes they're designed very poorly, obviously. Any game can be designed like crap, but a well-designed fighting game is pretty much art, man. Like, it's kind of amazing when you can look at all the under-the-hood stuff and all the design that's there, and you can see a lot of care and thought that goes into some of this stuff. It's really awesome. So yeah, I have a lot of respect for fighting games. And mechanically, like seriously, when you watch two people that are really good at fighting games, it is pretty awesome. But again, it's huge time investment and all that stuff. Alright. Good old Darius. Flame that light summer. I don't understand. He's not even in the stage where his axes have like the green flame. So I don't understand. I would actually love to be able to see what his name is in Japanese right now and see if the translation's a bit more, because there's a lot of subjectivity with Japanese translations especially. But I'm kind of curious what the fuck is going on with that. Hold on, I'm gonna BRB real quick. I need to run to the restroom and get some water and that kind of thing. So give me just a second here. Nothing like planting some trees, though. Alright. I'm back. So chat, I made the mistake. Right before I streamed, I was like, I'm gonna eat a salad. That'll hold me over. No. Salads may taste good, and they may be healthy for you, but they do not give you enough calories to get through the day, right? Not at all. So yeah, now I'm eating Cheerios. Alright, let's see what we're doing here. I would have gotten a hot dog bun, but we're out. I was actually, I was so sad. I was literally looking for a hot dog bun and I realized we're out. Wait, where's Ascension? There it is. Well, I don't think I have enough XP. I don't have enough XP right now to ascend her. She's actually going to be really useful to me in this event because I just have no bonus servants, so getting her up and the fact that she works against any class is going to be quite helpful to me. Dude, this event is nuts. Like, I just realized I only have 56k. Look at all this bonus I'm bringing. This is literally the most bonus I can bring. I cannot bring more bonus than this. It's not possible right now. And I only have 56k, man. Oh, to be fair, I'm taking a long time to do my turns because I'm blabbing, so, but still. So Arjuna, I'm on board except for the cheese, which you probably could predict that, but I'm on board with a lot of that except for the cheese. Not TMS theme. Okay, chat, speaking of Mev, how many people here like Mev or don't? So, like, yes for if you like Mev, no for if you don't. I'm really curious about this, because she's somewhat divisive. Neutral. I tell you more no than yes. I'm a little surprised by that. I don't really like Mev, but that was pretty overwhelmingly meh or no, and a little bit of yes. I always say, I don't like her, but I think they did a good job, like, what she's based on and everything. Like, she should not be a kind of character that I like. She just should not be. Like, if you look what she's based on, so they did a good job with the character, even though I don't like her. Honestly, my issue with her is not that she's a thought. That's not an issue at all. It's the fact that she's like a spoiled brat that can't take no for an answer. That's the main problem I have with her. Somebody shows her mercy and she takes it as an insult, right? That's the shit that I don't like about Mev. You know, just being a thought's not an issue. Because, like, Fergus is a thought, but, you know, he can take no for an answer, and, you know, he doesn't act like a spoiled child, so. I will say, Mev is, like, one of the best deaths ever. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, she got headshot by cheese. Like, I mean, come on now. Like, you can't make that shit up. Like, you might think that's like an FGO thing, but no, that's the actual story. And it was karma cheese. It wasn't just cheese, it was karma too, because she had like, you know, killed the mother of the guy and all that. Like, you know, if you gotta go out, you want to go out in a memorable way, and that's a pretty fucking memorable way. Hmm. Yeah, it's not just an FGO meme. It's the actual story. Basically, I think there's a bit more to it than this, but there was like a spring that she would go to often. It was like her favorite spot or something. And there was this guy that was basically an assassin now, but like Mev, I don't even remember why, but she had like killed his mom. So he was just like, this bitch gotta die. And I think he just had noticed that she went to this like spring often. And yeah, what I don't remember, because I haven't read this stuff in a long time, but off memory, it's that he did not have like a better assassination tool available, so he went with the cheese, right? It was like old hardened cheese, and he was like, you know, I guess really skilled at throwing the cheese, and that was that. What I don't understand, as I don't remember, but I don't understand, why didn't he have other things available to him, right? Because I'm pretty sure this was pre-planned. It wasn't like he walked by and he's like, wait, that's that bitch. Oh my god, let me grab the cheese off the ground and, you know, bam. Like, I'm pretty sure, I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he was aware that she was going to be there, I think. So I don't understand why cheese was the only thing he had available to him, opposed to like a knife, an arrow, a javelin, a rock. I truly don't know why it was cheese. But like I said, this was a long time ago, so I may be forgetting a key element of the story here. See, okay, here's the thing about Mav, right? Again, it's not the thoughterry. I do not have a problem with the thoughterry. I have a problem with just how shitty of a person she is. She's not a shitty person because she's a thought. She's a shitty person because she's so selfish and she's so spoiled, and like, you know, she sees mercy as an insult, and like, it's not even like, if somebody walks up to you and is like, yeah, fuck you, you suck, right? It's kind of reasonable to take that as an insult, right? You know, okay? But if she's like, yo, sleep with me, and they're like, no, I'm good, right? It's not like they're like, no, fuck you, you're ugly, right? Like, they didn't say that, right? It's not like somebody said, no, I know, fuck you, you're lame, I don't want to sleep with you. It's like, no, I don't want to sleep, you know? And then she's gonna take that as like the world's biggest insult, right? Like, that is such the hubris in that is just so bad, right? Where you anyone rejecting you for any reason, you know, you take as an insult, right? That's not great, right? It's not a great look, and she's just so petty, right? She's so fucking petty. I just don't like that trait, right? It doesn't work out. Like, pride can be interesting, like, you know, the fact that she's prideful is not really the problem. It's this insane level of pettiness and whatnot. So, and then I guess it's kind of a combination, though. To be fair, it's kind of the combination of the fact that she's petty and spoiled and useless. It's not like she worked for it. I think that's almost a bigger deal for me, is the fact that it's not like she worked to be the queen. She didn't, right? She didn't earn the spot that she's at, right? She didn't do that at all. It was kind of just given to her, and then she doesn't even, you know, use it well. And then she's also a bitch, right? Which isn't, you know, not the end of the world, but it's not like a positive. So it's the fact that she's a brat. She didn't work for it at all, and then she's also not exactly my cup of tea in the first place, right? You combine all these things, and it's like it's a real a stir fry of eek. But like I always say, at least did the character well, I suppose. If you're gonna take Mev and make it super anime, they pretty much nailed it. So That's not Gilgamesh, though. That's not Gilgamesh at all, because Gilgamesh, first of all, isn't really petty. Also, he did work for what he has, very much so. And Gilgamesh has like it or not, he has a lot of wisdom, right? That's the thing. Gilgamesh has lots of wisdom. If you like it or not, Gilgamesh is very wise. He understands people very well. He understands Shiro better than Shiro does. And Gil did work for what he has, where Mev didn't, right? He's also prideful, obviously. That's undeniable. But like I said, the pride thing's not really an issue. You know, and Gil is, you know, isn't perfect by any means. But yeah, there's a huge difference. And also, Gil can take no for an answer. Gil absolutely can take no for an answer, and he has multiple times. And he's not like, oh my god, I'm gonna kill everyone. Right? It just doesn't work that way. A much closer character to Mev is Ishtar. Ishtar's all like, oh my god, Gil, sleep with me. And then Gil's like, no thanks. And then she's like, I'm going to kill everyone in Uruk. And then when you defend yourselves, I'm going to be insulted by that. And then have Daddy kill Enkidu because you defended yourselves. Right? That's Mev. Like, Ishtar and Mev are two peas in a pod. Right? It's not Gil. Now, Gil does have, you know, a degree of being spoiled in common, I would say, and certainly the pride. Although honestly, Gil's pride is at so much more extreme. Like Mev's pride and Ishtar's pride, those are rookie numbers. Like that's fucking rookie numbers. Like that's you know, Gil's pride is on a whole nother level of egotism and all that. That's like he's taking that way farther. But yeah, it's way more. Ishtar's got way more in common with Mev than Gil. Because, you know, and like, it's not like Gil is like the person that worked the hardest in history, but he absolutely did work for his treasures and adventured for them and overcame a lot of it, diversity. No, he overcame adversity. And again, he acquired much wisdom. And that's like the point of the story. That's why do you think I like Gil so much? It's not because where he starts, it's because where he ends, coming from where he started, right? By the end of the story, and I don't mean just in Fate, although they do this in Fate, but, you know, in the actual Legend of Gilgamesh, is he acquires, you know, a lot of, you know, knowledge and wisdom from his adventures. Mev don't learn shit. Mev don't learn jack shit. I tell you what, if Mev actually had a character arc where she started off as this, like, spoiled silver spoon in her mouth character, right? And then she, like, you know, does all this shitty stuff and is a brat and blah, 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 blah. But then she learns from, like, the rejection from Ku and all these things and actually, like, becomes a better, you know, and wiser person. I would like Mev. I actually would, like, very much so. But she doesn't do that. What does she do with her trials and tribulations? She just is like, wham, I'm gonna kill everyone, right? Like, it is bullshit, right? It's not a fan here. Yeah, that's kind of my point with Gil. I've always said this with prideful characters. I do not inherently dislike prideful characters. I dislike prideful characters that don't deserve to be prideful, right? If someone has something, as Saber just put it, if they have something to be proud of, I don't really mind them being prideful, right? If you can walk the walk, I don't mind so much if you talk the talk, right? But when you talk the talk and then you don't do jack shit and everyone just carries you, it's kind of like, imagine, like, we're talking about going back to League of Legends or something. Imagine you got that one guy on the team that talks that good shit, but he's got 0 kills and, like, 10 deaths, right? But then their team wins. And then he's like, yep, see, I was right. My strategy was to, like, no, shut the fuck up. You just got carried, you dumbass, right? Like, that's Mev, right? That's Mev. She just gets carried and she sucks. It's not, she never came up with like, she never had like a brilliant plan, right? She's not like a tactician, right? Like, Jesus Christ. And so, yeah, I'm not, yeah, I'm just, there's not a lot I like about Mev. I don't have a lot of good things to say. It's like, just, yeah, it kind of sucks. But at least Fate did a good job of representing what the legend was about, so, you know, no complaints here. And the voice actress does a good job of sounding like a spoiled brat. I think they sold that pretty well. Yeah, I mean, she's a villain, that's true. But, I mean, as I always say, you can have villains that are, you know, interesting and deep and relatable and whatnot. Because I can't, someone tell me a redeemable quality about Mev, right? Because it's pretty easy to find, like, good qualities in a lot of villains, right? Now, Gil in the Epic of Gilgamesh isn't a villain, but in Fate he is, generally. But, you know, he's not a coward. Like, not at all, right? And he is still wise, and so there are, you know, redeeming qualities there, right? Can somebody give me a redeeming quality for Mev that does not have to do with sex, by the way? Because I already know that's where chat's going. Like, because she's not brave, you know, she's not wise, she's not patient, right? I can't think of any good quality that she has. She doesn't pretend anything she's not. I guess that's true. That's a fairly minor good quality, I would say. It's a low bar, but I will say, like, I don't respect people generally that that can't be themselves, right? And they're very two-faced and whatnot. And I mean, and to a degree, everyone's two-faced to somewhat, and I guess that's fine. You know, certain context call for a certain behavior sometimes, and that's all right. But yeah, people that can't be true to themselves, I don't generally like. That's true, but that's a pretty low bar. I feel like it's just like, you know, be yourself. You know, it's like, okay, that's, you know, but yeah, I guess she respects herself enough to not act like something she's not, I suppose. But being relentless, okay, I guess that's kind of a good trait. That's more like determination, I would say. And I guess determination can be a good trait. You gotta really stretch here though, because it's not like she works hard, right? It's not like she works hard for the things that she wants, right? Yeah, Uriel's very two-faced. I mean, that's literally like a big part of like what her character is about, like big time. Because I feel like being relentless is not inherently a good thing. I don't think it's inherently a bad thing either. I think it's inherently a thing, right? It's more about like what makes it a good trait is how you use it, right? It's just like, I don't think being patient is actually a good trait inherently. Because sometimes it's foolish to be patient. Sometimes you need to get off your ass and make things happen, right? But at other times it actually makes a lot of sense to be patient, right? So it's a matter of judgment, right? Like, I think good judgment is a much better trait than being patient or being relentless. I would say not giving up, though, is generally a good trait if you really care about something. Where it's like, if something's really important to you and you... But no, even then, it's like, even then, it's a judgment call, right? So for example, let's say your dream is to, you know, go to Brazil, right? Or live in Brazil, or learn the language, or you know, to acquire a certain job, or to be an Olympic ice skater, right? Okay, so these goals, not giving up on them would generally be viewed positively. But that's because there's no negative consequence to pursuing these things outside of personal sacrifice. And generally, I don't think people see personal sacrifice as a problem. The thing is, what Mev is trying to do, she's not sacrificing for, right? And it is something that has a lot of negative to other people. It's kind of like if your dream is world domination and you're relentless. It's like, yeah, they didn't give up, but you know, it's bad. It's also like, if something's pointless, that's I think the better way of putting it. Because like, if world domination is good or bad, that's subjective ultimately. But like, sometimes the world is telling you you're not cut out for this, and you continuing to try to do this thing is going to harm you and the people that you care about. And so that would be a sign of bad judgment. If somebody was like trying to accomplish something, and whatever that goal was, it was just obvious they weren't cut out for it, they weren't going to be able to do it, and their continued pursuit of it was harming the people around them. Like maybe you can't feed your kids, right? So being relentless about that is bad, right? It shows terrible judgment. And it actually shows, I think it's a better trait to give up on this dream that you know you're not going to be able to achieve, and then divert your effort and resources to things that are important around you. Because now you're sacrificing your dream to do what's right or what's better for the people around you, right? So that shows good judgment. So yeah, I really don't think, you know, patience or impatience or aggressive, you know, like, you know, relentlessness. I don't think they're a key. Right, right. It's a tool that you can use how you will. It's like a shovel. Where you choose to dig is up to you, right? I don't know why I picked Brazil. I actually picked Brazil because I was like, I didn't want to say something generic that people say like all the time, like I don't know, Japan or something, or like France. So, but you know, Brazil's kind of cool. So I was like, okay, we'll just go with Brazil then. Fuck it. I do find it interesting though how divisive Nev is, like, because she's one of those characters that's super fucking divisive. She has loads of fans. I mean, my god, she has loads of fans. But she has a lot of haters too. She's one of those. And then some people, I've literally seen people be like, yeah, I just like Nev because she has pink hair. That's it. And it's like, fair enough, right? Like, that's obviously subjective when it comes to fictional characters, so. Yeah, so for me, when it comes to villains, I will say I definitely have a different criteria for what I like in a character if they're a villain compared to a main character or a side character or whatever. Like I'm trying to say here. The viewpoint? I'm forgetting. Anyway, so where you're seeing the story from, I think really, because okay, this is a complicated issue, but like Lelouch in Code Geass is a villain for the most part, but you're seeing it like he's the main character, right? He's the protagonist, even though he's generally what you would consider a villain, right? And so being the other, right, the adversary thing really does change what you want out of a character, I would say. And so like for me, for like villain characters, it's more about like, first of all, just having an interesting viewpoint in general, but also like, you know, the badass factor can carry them a lot more. A cool factor can carry them a lot more. You know, you don't expect, you're not expecting good morals out of a villain, obviously, and if anything, you're kind of wanting, because they can be more gray, because a villain doesn't have to be morally black, right? They can be more morally gray, so you can explore a lot of stuff you normally couldn't explore and stuff. But yeah, I would say just like being cool and the badass factor works a lot better on a villain generally. They can get away with a lot more if they're just cool. Well, I would say in the original Gundam, there is no good guy in the original Gundam. Like, especially when you look at the broad strokes of the Earth and Zeon, right? They're both pretty bad. Like the Earth is really bad in Gundam, so I wouldn't really say Char is even a villain, especially because he's trying to avenge like his family that was so wronged and everything, right? So I seeing it from, I wouldn't really say Char is like, he kind of becomes a villain later, like in the later stuff, like in Char's counterattack and stuff. But like in the original, I really wouldn't say he's a villain at all, really. I wouldn't say he's a hero either, but alright, what are we doing here? Just gets Robin's NP, and I think we're good. No, I don't agree with that. I don't agree that Code Geass is just a viewpoint swap. I don't agree with that in the slightest, because look, if you look at the objective of Lelouch versus the objective of Char in the original Gundam show, they don't have the same objective in the slightest. Now, there's more overlap there if you do go into something like Char's counterattack, but that's because Char's character changes a lot throughout the different series and stuff, and his objective is all over the map. Because in Zeta, his objective is really different and stuff. So, if you take the original Gundam and you take Code Geass, I don't think there's a comparison there really at all, because Lelouch is ultimately a chaotic good character that's trying to do the greater good, you know, even if there's, you know, severe costs. That's not what Char's doing in the original Gundam show. Like, not at all. It's way more of a personal vendetta, both with, what the fuck is the main character named? In Amuro. It's more of a personal vendetta against Amuro, and then also with the Zeon, with the Zabi family or whatever, you know, where he's trying to accomplish very personal stuff with that. He doesn't really have a greater goal at all. And especially I will say is the flip side. There absolutely is no character like Amuro in Code Geass, where he's mostly a victim of circumstance for the most part in the beginning. like there's no like what's his name? Fucking Suzaku? In Code Geass, he's not even remotely like Amuro. Like the only thing that gets I can't really think anything they have in common really. Like they're very, very different characters. Yeah, Char is way more of revenge. He's way more motivated by revenge. And there is a degree of that with Lelouch, absolutely, with like his father and stuff. But throughout the biggest recurring theme with Lelouch, I would say, is he's more of a the ends justify the means. No, wait, I'm saying this backwards. The ends justify the means. That's Lelouch's character through and through. That's really not Char. It kind of is in Char's counterattack, I would say, but in the other stuff, not really. But yeah, Suzaku just is nothing like Amuro. Like you can find some elements here and there between Lelouch and Char that are similar, but like I don't. It's pretty different, and then just the shows themselves are pretty different. Like when you look at the circumstances and everything, there are again similarities absolutely, but I don't think it's like a direct viewpoint swap. With no way. That's such a surface level connection you just made though. Like that's like puddle deep. Like and also what you just said applies to a lot of mecha. Like there's so many fucking mecha shows where it's like guy gets mech, but it's not even the same with him because like he's already in the military for God's sakes, right? It's not like Suzaku's some kid that stumbles into a mech. He's literally in the military, and he just kind of gets lucky and gets added into the special unit, special forces, right? That then has this mech, right? That's already pretty different than Amuro. And then again, that is such a surface level comparison. Like that's like saying like the whole mask trope, right? That's such a surface level thing. That's like saying Char and then like Rao from Gundam Seed are really similar because they're both wearing a mask. Which, yes, they are both wearing a mask, but their characters are completely different and they have completely different motivations and the writers are trying to do something completely different. Now, I do agree that because it's made by Sunrise, there absolutely are comparisons to Gundam and Code Geass, absolutely, like having a character with a mask. But in terms of like the actual characterizations and motivations for the characters, a lot of them are very different, especially with Suzaku and Amuro. Like, they're really not... like first, like I said, one, just jumped into a mech, the other one is already part of the military. And in terms of like their motivations and whatnot, they're just not even slightly similar. And Amuro has more like red hair anyway, it's like red-brown. Alright, let's see what we're doing here. Like, I think what you're conflating here, because, like, and I've known this for a while, Sunrise does this all the time, where they like having, like, reoccurring motifs. And I think you're conflating things like that with much deeper character motivation stuff, because everything you're saying is not unique to Code Geass, right? Because, again, Gundam Seed has a character with a mask and a lot of other similarities, like someone stumbling into a Gundam. And these kinds of things, but then they're again ultimately what the shows are about and what the characters are about end up being very different. You're taking very surface level comparisons, and to be fair, a lot of times companies make this mistake too, where they'll try to. There was this show. Oh my god! So there was this show. I don't remember the name off the top of my head. Hopefully someone will know what for my description here. So basically, Gundam Seed was really popular, right? Gundam Seed like blew the fuck up, and it was a huge success, and it made a lot of money. Some people don't like it. It was kind of divisive, but ultimately Gundam Seed was a very profitable thing. So Sunrise, who was like the studio, the higher ups, behind it, they basically wanted another Gundam Seed that they could control a bit more and have more say over. And so they got this guy to basically make a Gundam Seed ripoff, right? And it's like something the Liberator. It's scary, like how much of a ripoff it is of Gundam Seed in certain elements. It does have plenty of stuff that's very different, though. I will say it's not like it's a complete ripoff, but it's obvious they're trying to like copy Gundam Seed in many ways. But yeah, that's it, Valkyrie or whatever, the Liberator. That's it. So a lot of the stuff they copy from Gundam Seed is very surface level stuff, right? It's like I fucking hate that show, by the way. Like there's certain aspects of it that are alright, but oh my god, I fucking hate that show. There's just There's a lot of stupid shit in that show, but I'm not gonna get that right now. Anyway, so it like copies Gundam Seed in a lot of areas, but in none of the areas that I think would actually make it more successful, because that show ended up not being all that successful. It wasn't a complete failure, but it wasn't a huge smashing success either. And they basically they're like, okay, Gundam Seed's popular, so we'll copy Gundam Seed, so we'll be popular. But they copied Gundam Seed in very superficial ways and it did not translate to why Gundam Seed was popular, right? They didn't have the underlying things that actually make Gundam Seed popular, and so it didn't work out so good. And that happens a lot. So, and with Sunrise in general, they have a lot of like tropes that they like to use and reference throughout their things, right? And this applies to Code Geass, Gundam, you know, the other Gundams, the other Gundams, and just a lot of, and like that Liberator show that they make and stuff. And it's like with Tales of. Tales of does this too. Tales of like has the Master Chef or whatever he's called. I don't think that's the right name. But you know, he's like in every game, and like they have a lot of like reoccurring like tropes like that, and then people act like that means, oh, these games are connected, and some Tales games are connected and some aren't, and people always connect like these dots that are just like references, and they're just like, you know, tropes, and it's very surface level stuff. There's no actual like hard connection between like, you know, a lot of the Tales games. Now obviously some of the Tales games are legitimately connected, but it's the same thing I think with like Code Geass and Gundam here. They absolutely have, like, I mean, you have to be blind not to notice some of the nods to Gundam. You know, you got the masks, you got the mechs, and the kind of, you know, political situations. Obviously, but those are like tropes they put in basically everything they make, which can actually get kind of annoying. But like those are very just basic stuff. Like there's like every connection you have there applies to, you know, like I would say like Gundam Seed or even Gundam Wing, for God's sakes. And I would say Gundam Wing, like Zex is way more similar to Char than Lelouch is. But even Zex, I would say, it definitely has differences. But I would say Zex is definitely the most similar to Char out of the like masked fucks. How have I swear I already did this in P, but apparently not. Yeah, I really dislike that about Sunrise, and sometimes they still make interesting characters and stuff regardless of that stuff, but yeah, they're way too tropey in my opinion. And like I said, a lot of the base characters and stuff do end up being different, but yeah, they need to get more original, for God's sakes. And again, some stuff I think you can carry throughout and it's no big deal. Like like a masked character is not that big of a deal and stuff, but they take it a lot further than just that. So with patches, they legitimately have set up patches where it's possible that every patches in every game is actually the same person, and they do that on purpose. Ultimately, I would say it's more like an Easter egg, but and even in Armored Core, so the NA version of Armored Core doesn't quite do this right, but even in Armored Core, Patches is like the same voice actor and everything. It's kind of a silly thing that they've just done with Patches, where he's like, it's actually possible that all the Patches in all of the games is the same guy. But that's probably not the case. It's more like just a reference, right? And it's just kind of a reoccurring thing. But yeah, Patches is a trip. The question is, will Patches be in Elden Ring? I'll say this though about Patches. They really have done a good job of making him more than just a reference, right? He does have an actual character, and obviously in Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3 it is the same guy, right? Like now with Demon Souls and all the other stuff, then it's not so clear about that. But like Dark Souls 1 Patches, Dark Souls 3, I'm not sure if it may not have actually been in 2 because 2 was blasphemy. But anyway, the Dark Souls 1 Patches and Dark Souls 3 Patches is the same character, right? But they actually did a lot with him. I actually love Patches' character arc in Dark Souls 3. There's a lot more there than just like the surface stuff that you kind of started with like being greedy and kicking you off and all that kind of stuff. Lots of like identity and self-understanding and all that kind of stuff. Really interesting. I love like at the end, like at that last scene with him in Dark Souls 3, I think a lot of people think he's being an ass when he kicks you off and stuff, but he's actually helping you. That was like a friendly way of him like reminding you and kind of, you know, sending you off. Like when he, because like when he actually kicks you at the end of Dark Souls 3 and like the DLC, he's legitimately helping you. He literally kicks you to where you need to go, right? And it's like his character arc's actually pretty awesome. It's actually a lot more interesting than just patches memes. All right, my God, we're only at 71K. That's rough, man. I mean, if Jerker cuts it or not depends entirely on what you are doing, but I would say as a general DPS, Jerker is very good because she's a Berserker, so she can be used against, you know, any boss type, and then she has a decent amount of self-survivability. Like, she's not so good. Like, if you're like, oh man, this is a really tough saber, you know, my first thought's not going to be Jerker. It's going to be a bunch of archers, right? But if you had to use a Berserker, she's definitely one of the better picks you could go with. Like, just... And then obviously there's a lot of situations where Berserkers are good because you're fighting different classes, or you're fighting an extra class that you don't have a counter class for. There's so many reasons you might want to bring a Berserker. And yeah, Jerker's an extremely good one because she hits hard, she has good skill set, she has a decent amount of survivability. You know, she's certainly not Kuolta or anything, but she has a solid amount of survivability. And if you combine her survivability with like Nash or St. George or, you know, Merlin or whatever you're doing, you know, someone else that can protect her, those two things combined, she's actually fairly safe. And then she, you know, has a lot of damage up. And she gets her NP rather quickly. You give her a 50% starting NP CE, she can get her NP so fast because she has the battery skill and the NP gain skill. So, yeah, I mean, she's a very, very, very good Berserker. She's not the best in the game, but she's still very good. I actually find Dark Souls 2 had like the worst variety ever because it had a lot of variety in the beginning, but because of soul memory, and once people figured it out, everyone was just like level 400, and everyone had everything, and everyone had like max adaptability and max health, and could wear super heavy armor, and blah 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 blah, and it was very fucking boring. There was still variety in like what weapons they decided to use, but that's kind of true in every fucking game. I've always said I think Dark Souls 2 had like the best core mechanics, but it was so ruined by soul memory and adaptability. Like those two things were so bad for the game that I really don't enjoy Dark Souls 2 PvP that much. I enjoyed it a lot in the early days, and I enjoy it when I like go back and play it and I stay like, you know, mid to low level, because then, you know, everyone, you can't have so much adaptability that you can't roll punish someone, right? You have to actually do good rolls. Because of soul memory, everyone's gonna have their agility stats so high that their iframes are just stupid and there's no roll punishing anybody, and that's really annoying. And then everyone's in super heavy armor and everybody has a bunch of spells, and it just, I really don't like, soul memory is such a problem. However, when you do get people to stay at like level 120 in Dark Souls 2, it is very fun, like big time. Like I would say like dueling at 120 in Dark Souls 2 is some of the best you can have in Dark Souls. I'm not sure if I'd say it's the best, but it's definitely better than Dark Souls 3. See, Dark Souls 3 has like a meta that like it makes it way easier for everyone to be at 125, and you know, it kind of naturally plays out that way and everything. But Dark Souls 3 just has bad mechanics. Like rolling costs too little stam, and you have too few recovery frames after rolling. And a lot of stuff like that, and like the way hit stun works in Dark Souls 3 is horrible. It's fucking horrible. Like Dark Souls 3 has the worst 1v1 in the series. Like maybe Demon Souls is worse. Demon Souls is kind of a shit show, but I don't know. I think I'd say even Demon Souls probably is better 1v1 than Dark Souls 3. Dark Souls 3 1v1 is like the worst shit on the planet. Actually, I don't know, but I just remembered Bloodborne. Gun more, right? Like that. Bloodborne PvP is a mess because of, you know, range parries was a great idea. Actually, there's a lot of stuff in Dark Souls 3 though it's not at 125. It is so easy to PvP in Dark Souls and not 125 now, or 120. Most people say 120, but if you go over 120, you're not going to get any PvP. But I actually PvP in like level 30, level 60, and level 75 in Dark Souls 3 all the time. And I actually prefer those level ranges because, as I was just saying, that Dark Souls 3 1v1 is awful. Dark Souls 3 like 2v2 and 3v1 and mobs with the invader plus 2 enemies. That stuff is all really fun. Like when you're using gravity. Then I love Dark Souls 3 PvP, and that kind of stuff is way more prevalent at like level 60 and level 30 and level 70. So those level ranges are, one, active as fuck, and two, are I would say better than 120. 120 is probably the worst PvP range in Dark Souls 3 because you can't fucking fight anyone that doesn't want to be like Honor Bro 1v1, and which is like the worst fucking thing in Dark Souls 3, so. And it's funny, a lot of people that like play Dark Souls 3 like for streaming and stuff nowadays generally don't do 120 stuff because it's so bad. I mean, it's pretty complicated. I don't think I really have, I would say which one's overall the best because like I say, it's all over the place. It's like what you're able to do and when. It's like, are you low level, are you high level? I would say for the overall PvP experience for me personally, I would say Dark Souls 1 because I will say I don't think it has the best shenanigans because it doesn't have covenants that really work well with shenanigans. And by shenanigans, I mean like not honor stuff, all kinds of chaotic nonsense. I like the humanity system, that's good, but it just, the way the invasions are done, there's only one invasion point, there's not a lot of like, chaotic, then the mechanics don't lend themselves too well to that kind of thing, so for like pure 1v1ing, I would say Dark Souls 1, especially if everyone's good at the game. Like, it's not really fun when people are noobs, because then it just turns into a backstab fest, but when everyone's really skilled at Dark Souls 1, and almost no backstabs happen. Like, almost no backstabs happen, because backstabs are ultimately incredibly easy to shut down in Dark Souls 1. It just, most people fucking suck at that game, and they don't know how to do it. So, the mechanical depth in Dark Souls 1, like, 1v1ing, is my favorite. But like, in Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 2 is really close. It's just that proper 1v1ing doesn't happen much in that game, because everyone ends up being a bullshit high soul level. I would actually say Dark Souls 2 might actually be slightly higher. If you could magically make everyone not go past 120, in Dark Souls 2, that would probably be my favorite one for 1v1ing. But also, I don't think Dark Souls 2 shenanigans is like the worst. I think Dark Souls 2 has the worst, like, oh, there's an invader and the mobs are here, but then I got phantoms or whatever. Like, that stuff sucks in Dark Souls 2 because the host is just way too advantaged to the point of it being really repetitive, and there's only like 1 or 2 invasion builds that actually work. You basically have to have faith and stuff. Like, it's just boring. Like, the host is just way too advantaged in Dark Souls 2 because the invader's on a fucking time limit. So if it gets into a turtle off, right, the host will just wait at the bonfire with all their phantoms and never do anything. Because if you don't come to them and just get run into the grinder, you just get kicked out of the enemy's world, right? Or they can use a Seed of a Giant or whatever, right? I find the shenanigans in Dark Souls 2 are terrible because basically what happens every single time you invade anyone is they just run to the bonfire, summon a bunch of phantoms and stay there until you either come to them or get kicked out. Right? There's no variety there. There's literally no variety there. That is so prevalent. It just sucks. Although I will say that the Bell PvP was hilarious. Bell PvP was, from both hosting and an invader standpoint, I always found that enjoyable. But yeah, I don't really have a set tier list because it's just what I want. I play the different games for different reasons. If I want like really good 1v1 stuff, I'll play Dark Souls 1. If I want shenanigans, I'll play Dark Souls 3. If I want a pipe dream, I'll play Dark Souls 2. Feel like there's so much things in Dark Souls 2 that I love. There's so much, but it's like like on paper, Dark Souls 2 is my favorite. It's just in practicality because of adaptability and soul memory. I never have any fun in Dark Souls 2 PvP anymore. But like the actual mechanics of Dark Souls 2 and all the items, all the wacky items like Growler's Ring or whatever it was called. There's a lot of cool shit like that, and backstepping was actually good in Dark Souls 2, but soul memory is just such a problem, and so is adaptability, that I can't really enjoy Dark Souls 2 PvP very much. But but then 1v1ing in Dark Souls 3 is the worst. 1v1ing in Dark Souls 3 is so bad, it's just cancer. Like, just end me now, I don't want to do that. And then Bloodborne is kind of just a shit show because that game barely even supports PvP. Like, Bloodborne makes it so difficult to PvP in the first place. And then most PvP is just so much gun spam and just fishing for parries. And just like with Dark Souls 3 having rolling that's way too strong, the iframes on rolling in Dark Souls 3 is just way too powerful. You're way too safe. You can do like so much stupid shit in Dark Souls 3 and not get punished for it. Like, you can swing at the world's stupidest time with the world's slowest weapon and still be able to roll out and not get punished because just the way fucking rolling in Dark Souls 3 is insane. But it's like that in Bloodborne too. Like, oh my god, the iframes in Bloodborne. It's not even the iframes, it's actually the lack of recovery frames. There's like no recovery frames on your roll or your dash, and then you can instantly go into a parry. So people are basically just being idiots and trying to bait the other person into attacking, and so you just spam your gun and you hope you parry them. Like, there's so much of that in Bloodborne. Yeah, I like that mechanic in Dark Souls 2 where, like, at a certain frames during the Fume Greatsword, you were blocking during certain frames. That was pretty cool. There was a lot of neat stuff like that in Dark Souls 2. Although I will say, there's neat stuff like that in all of the Souls games. It's just they're not always practical enough to like, matter. And that's why I didn't like, that's why I don't actually like Dark Souls 2, is because initially you had to be very smart about when you rolled and stuff. And if you were like, okay, I bet if I do this, this guy's gonna roll spam, and then if I follow up with a running attack, I will roll punish him. That is so important in Dark Souls PvP, in my opinion. And in the beginning of Dark Souls 2, there's plenty of that. If somebody rolls at a very predictable and dumb time, it's very easy to punish them with in many ways. Like using the bandit axe, and if you were like 3, 2, 1, he's gonna roll. You could like always punish them with like a running attack from like the bandit axe. But once people got to a way high soul level and they get an insane amount of agility, which is from adaptability, you know, you couldn't do that anymore. And then they could do something stupid and roll at a very predictable time, and they could just roll a second time and not get hit. It's just, it sucks. What are we at here? 86k, oh lord. But yeah, basically, Dark Souls PvP is all over the map. It's all over the map in quality. Each game has so many random pros and cons, and it's basically a crapshoot if it turns out good or not. So I hope Elden Ring just turns out good, but I'm quite worried because both Bloodborne and Dark Souls 3 had really bad PvP. The fun stuff in Dark Souls 3 is just a coincidence because Dark Souls 3 happens to be a nice sandbox to allow for a lot of fun shenanigans, like, oh, it's the host and a phantom versus me and the mobs, and there's gravity here, but you got the cat ring and all that. You know, it's a nice sandbox for a lot of like crazy shit, right? But that was just a coincidence. The core mechanics were really bad for PvP, and so was Bloodborne. Bloodborne might have actually been worse. And so I'm really worried Elden Ring is going to be another set of PvP that's a lot like that. They haven't made a good PvP game in a while, honestly, in my opinion, so I'm kind of worried Elden Ring is going to be shit. I would just hope they've learned from their mistakes, because a lot of... I honestly don't know how much FromSoft, you know, looks into their feedback, and honestly, there are plenty of Japanese, you know, hardcore PvPers and streamers and stuff, but not as... It's way... PvP scene is way bigger in the English-speaking side of things. So I have no idea if they even look at a lot of this feedback, like people talking about, like, you know, stam costs and too many iframes and you know, all these things. Like, I don't know if they really pay attention to this stuff, right? So I don't know if they even realize like how unhappy a lot of the community has been with Dark Souls 3's longevity and stuff. Oh boy, I'm kind of short on NP here. I need to stream more Souls at some point. I definitely will when Elden Ring comes out, because I feel like I talk about Souls all the time, but I haven't played it on stream in years. That's good though. I haven't played a single Souls game in years, and I always like that, because then you're super fucking rusty when you go back, and it's actually more fun to play a Souls game when you're bad at it, and then to learn again and get good again and stuff. That's always fun. So like when you've been playing it like non-stop for a year, you know, the PvE becomes extremely boring and easy. Where if you take a huge break and you go back to it, then it's really spicy again, so. So I could get Robin's NP right now. Why was I should have been attacking, Jesus. This is what happens when you're not paying attention to what you're doing. I should have been attacking the robot this whole time, because I'm gonna one-shot the Chimera anyway. So there was no point in putting normal attacks into him. Probably could have waited one more turn and not used that battery. Like, I remember I streamed playing Dark Souls Remaster. That was fun because I hadn't played Dark Souls 1 in so long, and it was kind of fun learning shit again. I swear though, Dark Souls 2 is definitely the most divisive of the Souls games. There's so many people that hate it so much, and so many people that like it's the best one. And I think a big part of that is because there are certain aspects of it that are blank. Like I think most people that like Dark Souls 2 would agree that it does have some pretty huge flaws, and if those things are important to you, it's pretty easy to see why someone wouldn't like it. A good example is just the world design. Like it's an objective thing that the world design in Dark Souls 2 is like a lie. Like when you see something off in the distance, it's not actually there, that's a backdrop, and the world does not actually logically connect with itself. Like people have ripped the 3D map and it literally overlaps with itself. You know, where every other Souls games has this really elegant world design that, you know, connects to itself and overlaps on itself properly and stuff instead of like, you know, fusing on itself. So it's like, that's a pretty obvious problem in Dark Souls 2, and even if you love the game, it's really easy to see that problem. And there's other issues like that. Like, there's no arguing that soul memory makes multiplayer difficult, right? Like, it's really difficult to make a co-op, you know, permanent co-op character or a permanent PvP character. And even if you use the ring, now you're down a ring slot and you can't buy consumables. If your gear breaks, you can't repair it because that'll change your soul memory, right? And then also soul memory encourages people to not stay at a set level, which means you have level 200s fighting level 500s all the time, and that's clearly not fair. Right? Like, there's a lot of problems with the game, right, in Dark Souls 2, and that's why I think it's divisive. I think why there's a lot of people that like it is because I think mechanically, it's you know, Dark Souls 2 has a lot of good stuff going for it, where it's like, yeah, backstabs are good, yeah, leap attacks are good, you know, there's a lot, you can be aggressive. You know, Dark Souls 3 makes it impossible to be aggressive, where in Dark Souls 2, it's not like you have to be aggressive, but it's very, very possible to make a playstyle and a build that can be very aggro and not be a turtle, right? But you don't have to be that. You know, you can be somewhere in the middle, or you can be defensive and stuff. And so it's one of the only Souls games that allows you to be defensive, aggressive, or somewhere in the middle. It's one of the only Souls games that allows that. And then just mechanically, a lot of things that are normally pointless, like backstepping, are actually good. So that's why I think a lot of people like it, is because there's a lot of stuff there that's, you know, it's kind of awesome. But yeah, for me, the soul memory and all that is just too much for me. I think the biggest flaw with Dark Souls 1 is the learning curve is kind of insane, and like if you don't understand it, you'll get backstabbed constantly, and I think that's a huge turn off for a lot of people. And I've seen it. So many people to this day, they act like Dark Souls 1 is nothing but a backstab fest, but I mean, really, when you watch literally anyone good at that game, there's like no backstabbing happening. And it's just, people just don't know how to stop backstabbing, and just they don't like having to deal with the poise ratios and the weird netcode and all that stuff. But I think mechanically, Dark Souls 1 does have an insane amount of depth to it, so that's why I really like it. Yeah, the problem, yeah, because that's the thing. You can just, oh, everyone get over 45 million soul memory, they don't have to worry about it anymore. The thing is, that's the honor system, and someone's going to be a dick. Someone's going to be level 500, right? You can be like, oh yeah, guys, let's just all go to 120 and get over 45 million soul memory, and now it's just like normal, guys. But welcome to humanity. There's so many bad apples that will be like, yeah, I'm going to be sneaky and actually be level 500. And then the other people will be like, well, I don't, it's just like with the steroids thing. It's like, well, I want to compete. And so even though I don't like being level 500, I don't find that very enjoyable. If these guys are all level 500, then I'm going to be level 500. And then everyone's level 500 again. So it's just, it doesn't work, right? So the human element really runs Dark Souls 2 when it comes to soul memory. It's not really solved in Skull of the First Sin. I played Skull of the First Sin a lot. And it didn't really fix it. I think Scholar of the First Sin actually added more unfair elements to the map design. Like, there's a lot of areas where they just added more mobs, and like they just throw a million mobs at you that you would never, a new player would never have seen coming, and it's not really fair. Like, they do that a lot in Dark Souls 2. Like, and Dark Souls 2 has pretty sloppy hitboxes on the enemies. Like, very much. Dark Souls 2 has really fucking sloppy hitboxes on the enemies. There's a lot of enemies where, like, they just have lingering hitboxes for no fucking reason, and, like, where they have like no startup frames. There are so many attacks in Dark Souls 2 that literally have no startup frames. You'll actually be stun locking them, and you'll just take damage, and you never saw the enemy even do an animation. And it's because they have an attack where the damage comes out in one fucking frame. There are so many units in Dark Souls 1 like that. It's just fucking Dark Souls 2 that are like that. It's fucking stupid. It's infuriating. And because they have these sloppy hitboxes and fucking one frame activating attacks, when they do cheap shit, when they just throw like 30 mobs at you at once, it's bullshit. Like, it's super bullshit. This is a Soul stream, apparently. I'm gonna go back to talking about Fate now. Although this happens because I blame FGO for this. I'm over here talking about Dark Souls forever because this event is trash. I mean, this event sucks so bad. Like, I'm supposed to talk about, hey guys, we're killing Pimp again. This is really exciting. And like these main story bits do get better later. Like, legit, the last chunk of the main story stuff actually does get kind of hard. And if you want to solo and those kinds of things, you can have some real fun. Like, the last couple of fights with MHXX are actual boss fights, and if you try to solo them and neutral, they're really interesting. And then you got that final fight with BB, that's a real boss fight. You know, you get the challenge quests and the raids. The only thing that sucks about the raids is these raids are really unique in that you can only fight them so many times, and you're basically incentivized. If you try to have fun with the raids, you're fucking yourself, right? You're literally fucking yourself. Because you can only do the raids a set amount of times, and you want to get as many bonus drops out of them as possible and stuff. So there's no point, like, I can't remember if Kiara is stronger at day or night, but there is no point in fighting her when she's stronger. It's bad. It's stupid to fight her when she's stronger, because it means you'll have to bring a team that has less bonus, right? Because look at what I'm doing right now, right? Where I'm bringing every bonus slot humanly possible, even though I don't have very many bonus servants. It's not like I have every fucking a summer servant, so I can cherry pick a bunch of bonus servants that are actually good. I can't do that at all. I have like no summer servants. So if I bring a team that's nothing but bonus points boosting stuff, my team sucks, right? It makes my team super weak. And so if I want to beat Kiara and have as much bonus as possible, if I fight the daytime version, I'll have to bring less bonus stuff, right? And then that means I get less out of the fight, right? And you can only fight her a few times. So it's objectively better to cheese the raids like all the time. You want to cheese the shit out of them, or not necessarily cheese the shit out of them, but at least, you know, put things in your favor so you can bring as much bonus as possible, right? If you want to get as many bonus drops against Kiara as possible, you need to fight her at nighttime, right? So it's just it's a lot of limiting stuff like that, and so that the raids aren't really that fun, to be honest, because they really trap you in terms of of what you need to do for them, so not very flexible. But they're still fun to be had with them. It's still kind of neat to do them, and it definitely mixes up your gameplay. You're definitely doing something different. It's not like super repetitive. You actually focus and give a shit. And then, you know, the final bosses in the main story are fine, and the challenge quest in this event is hard as fuck, man. It's not like the hardest challenge quest they've ever made or anything. It's not even close like the Shadow Camelot Knights or anything like that. But it's a really hard challenge quest that you gotta, you know, take fairly seriously. There's plenty of ways to cheese it, though. Oh god, there's plenty of ways to cheese it. Double scatty and that kind of shit is super effective on this challenge quest. Like the whole NP refund thing, art teams work really well too. Like TAM art teams for this challenge quest worked insanely well. But that stuff normally works well. So if you ignore that kind of stuff, this challenge quest is really good. Boy, we're giving Ari a lot of FP. I mean, I've soloed with basically every unit in the game at some point. Like everyone's saying no when I have absolutely used Kuolter to solo before. Like, I like how chat's literally lying right now. Like, yeah, I don't use Kuolter often because I don't really like him. But I mean, I've soloed with fucking Mev, for God's sakes. Like, I'm literally just talking about how much I don't like Mev, but we've literally soloed with Mev, for God's sakes. I mean, I've literally soloed with, like, everything. Like, obviously, I don't use Kuolter, like even half as much as I use, you know, like regular Ku or something, but... I even said on Discord a few days ago, like, I don't remember why, but I was soloing with Kuolter for some reason, I don't remember why. And I was talking to Chad, I'm just like, yeah, overall Cool Ultra is kind of boring to solo with. But every once in a while, it's kind of nice to just see red press red, right? Because I was having a moment of like, I can feel the power, right? I have no idea what I was doing with Cool Ultra, but I was soloing something, and it was funny how easy it was for him to shit on it without thinking, right? It's like a lot of the other units might be able to solo it, but you'd have to like, okay, let me think about this for a second. Or with Cool Ultra, I was just like, yeah, I'm just gonna click the red buttons. So yeah, that was kind of fun. But I definitely don't use him often because, as I just described, he's rather simplistic and very straightforward. It's very stat check. It's like he either works or he doesn't. And I also don't like Cool Ultra very much, character-wise and design-wise and stuff. So he's pretty low on my list, I would say, of units. I use him very rarely. I've soloed with Columbus before. We don't use him loads, but actually I already have a Columbus solo video, but I should probably make another one at some point. I actually don't think I've ever done a Paul solo, and if there ever is a unit that I don't do a solo for, that would probably be the one. Like, seriously, I've used a lot of stuff, and I've soloed with Liz, for God's sakes, but I don't think I've ever soloed with Paul, and yeah, I'm not feeling too confident that that's ever going to happen. Guess we'll see though. I mean, for real, Paul is a very bad solo unit, absolutely, because she has no hard survival, and she's so squishy, you're not going to get any value out of the heal. She's just a bad solo unit. But I mean, we've soloed with plenty of... That has never stopped us before, right? Like, that has never stopped us before. We've soloed with Phantom. So it's like you can still find like the edge of their value and see the hardest thing that they can solo and stuff. And she still has damage and stuff and see red press red, so she'd still be able to solo some things. Like if you kind of climb the ladder, because it's pretty easy to judge like a stage and like how much value it has, how much health the enemies have, how much damage output they have, and you can kind of make a tier list of how difficult stages are, right? See like free quests if you're counterclassing them, free quests if you're not counterclassing them, things like that. And then up to, challenge quests, and then challenge quests if you're counterclassing and not, and then, like, main story fights, and, you get all these, like, tiers to things. Anyway, so, if you're going up the ladder, and, like, at what point you would get stopped where Paul could not go on and would not be able to solo anymore, it would be sooner rather than later, but it's not like she couldn't do, like, the really basic stuff. Like, she could solo some things. But it's not going to be, like, impressive. It's not going to be anything shocking. Oh god, please don't kill my my Robin. I wasn't paying. Oh god. I mean, I deserved this because I was playing really badly, and there was many things I could have done to have prevented that. But god damn it! I like how he just zeroed in on Robin there, and he had his NP, and that was the Robin that had his poison skill. I'm throwing right. We'll probably still win, but that was letting Robin die there was extremely bad. I have to wait 2 turns now to use poison again, and I don't have his NP, and I even wasted the battery skill. So yeah, we're in for it now. Don't worry, level 54 Jerker will save us. Now, ideally, I would like to save Mash's NP for when Robin NPs, which I'm pretty sure I can accomplish that. They both still have damage cut, we should be fine. Alright, Robin. I'll take that crit. Okay, if the enemies can hit Robin once, we'll be good here. There you go. It's funny though, if Robin died, we would have been fucked, because everything else in our back row is like level 1, and Jerker's pretty weak right now, because she's 54. So, but we're good. And he's still got evade, we still have stun, mash NP, so we're looking good now. I actually get serious for a second there, because we kind of threw with letting Robin die. I leveled her skills to 5. I haven't gone beyond that just because I'm not sure if I want to give her the gold berserker gems or not. So I'll just wait and see. I don't like need her skill ranks up right now, but she's 5. Because you don't 5 is as far as you can go without using gold gems. So. But I mean, her mats are a joke, right? Like the materials you need to upgrade her skills are nothing. So it's not a sacrifice to level Jerker's skills at all, other than the berserker gems, the gold ones anyway. So I just like dropped my earbud into the side of my chair in like the most insane way that I can't get it out. Like there's this groove between my chair arm and the cushion, and I don't even understand how it fit in here. And also I literally just bought these earbuds. I don't understand. How did this fit in here? I'm so confused. This defies physics. Okay, we're in a boss battle with the earbuds right now. How did this happen? I don't understand. I'm so confused. Like, first of all, why did they fall over here? Second of all, I literally do not understand the physics behind this. What is going on here? I just bought these earbuds. I don't want to have to buy new earbuds because I dropped them in this fucking chair arm is like all these like grooves and shit. Like they're trying to look all cool. It's like some fucking gamer bullshit. God! Well, I'm gonna just have one earbud for now, and I'll try to get this out after the stream because this is gonna be a very involved process. I can see. This is I think it has to go down to go up. Basically, is what's going on here. Oh God, that's annoying. That I'm pissed. I got a chair that's like good for streaming, right? It like supports your back really well. And it's great and all, but they got all this like stupid grooves and shit trying to look edgy or something. So this, speaking of berserker gems, one reason why I'm doing this stage is because it can drop gold berserker gems. But I haven't really been paying attention if they've been dropping or not, but I don't think they have been, which leads me to believe that the drop chance is not particularly good. Which is, yeah, we haven't even gotten one. Okay, that's great. So I remember, dude, fucking Requiem event. So I had, you know, just for the sake of the video, I wanted to limit break. I wanted to limit break the CE, right? Because I could make a more reasonable team if I had the CE limit broken. And I just could not get the drop, right? So I had to farm, even though I cleared the event entirely, and all that, I had to farm the same free quests over and over again. And it was one of the rare times that the drop rate of the gold gems was actually fairly decent. But unfortunately, the gem that was dropping from that stage, I think was a Berserker gem. And on my main account, I do not need gold Berserker gems at all, and I never have, because the rate at which I acquire them from events is way greater than I use them. And so I was sitting here like, man, I would not even be bitching about wasting all these apples and farming this event if I was getting like Lancer gems, you know, hell, even Saber gems, you know, while I'm doing it. But no. The one time they give us a stage that has a good gold gem drop rate, it's fucking Berserker gems. Yeah, I don't really need the feathers though. Like, it's not a big deal. But yeah, if I could get some of these Berserker gems, that'd be nice. I want to say you get Berserker gems at a set time throughout this event, and it's because they want you to be able to upgrade Jerker, excuse me. But I think it's just like some stages later that they give you some or something. I don't think they give you loads, but I think they give you at least some. Maybe I'm out of my mind and they don't, and they're just dicks. Oh, bones though. I'm cool with getting some bones. Never enough of those. I think we'll do one more, then we'll wrap up, because it is getting kind of late, and I also need to save my earbuds. And otherwise, I'm just gonna be rambling about Dark Souls forever, so... I mean, I don't know what chat expects from me, because it's like, this event sucks. It does get a little bit easier. It does get a little bit easier later. Alright, chat, I guess if we're wrapping up soon, if you got any questions, I guess now's the time. Hit me. Green bond lines, lol. I mean, some people are into suffering, I guess, so... Actually, no, I guess that's not really right. Like, some people are into pain. They're not into suffering. It's because they're not suffering from the pain. I think suffering is kind of a universal state of unhappiness, right? Because it's not like there's a... You can suffer for many reasons, right? So, yeah, suffering, I guess, is universally bad, I would say. It's just what makes someone suffer is subjective. That was awfully specific, L. That, like, why abs instead of, you know, all the other things? Like, I expect a degree of... You know, everyone's degenerates, right, on the internet these days, but, I feel like the ab thing is like a recent thing, and I don't really know why. I mean, it's to each their own, doesn't bother me. I've noticed that. Thoughts on Accelerator as a character? I mean, he's basically carrying that show, right? There's a few cool side characters in that show here and there. But I would say that the entire reason I even give half a fuck about that franchise, I guess like you call it the Index franchise or something. I don't know what its like name is. Anyway, yeah, he's carrying that shit. So, and the Japanese voice actor is like amazing. So definitely gonna NP with this Robin because he's more likely to die. I don't even know what that is, Arjuna. I've never even heard of that. One of these days, I do need to stream other games. It's just, I'm so picky about video games, and then I don't have a lot of free time, and I'm also really stingy with money and all these things, so it doesn't happen as much as it should, but I swear to God, at some point, we'll get back to playing other games. Also, it's like I just gotta get through Summer 3, like, oh my God, and then the anniversary. I'm sure we'll have dead weeks in the future. Well, I mean, if it's only on PlayStation 4, then no, I'm not going to play it because I don't have a PlayStation 4, so... I have, the only current gen console I have is a Switch. Which I slightly regret getting. What class would benefit most from the 3-star command code in this event? I don't even remember what the 3-star command code in this event is. You're way better. You have to understand, I don't really play NA, and there are so many fucking command codes on JP. You just gotta say like what effect you're talking about, because otherwise I have no idea what you're saying. As like if someone could say like you're the 4-star CE from the Maze event, I'm like, I don't know what that is, right? I've done so many events, so many times, I have no idea. 30% star gen. I mean, it really just depends on who you like, but it's generally characters like, you know, that actually care about star gen, obviously, but don't necessarily have great star gen on their own. Like Billy and Ku, for example. You know, they have a quick chain, which means they want to crit on the turn after that. But their hit counts aren't that amazing, so some extra star gen can be nice. However, they don't benefit from it as much as some other people because their hit counts aren't very high. You actually will make more stars from it if you have a high hit count. But if you have a high hit count, you probably don't need it as much. So really it just boils down to, it's a good command code for units you like a lot, and you should probably give it to them, because a very basic setup for command codes, especially early on, is use command codes to make more stars, and use other command codes to have more star absorb on key cards. So now you're making more stars, and the more likely go to specific cards. So your overall crit chance is actually going up a lot, and more crit is, you know, a lot more damage, and that's ultimately a good thing. So yeah, it's kind of a star gen and star creation, those kinds of things. Those are actually kind of staples in the long run. So it really just boils down to who you like. Like, there certainly are some units that, you know, would not use that CE very well, and there certainly are some units that use it better than not, but it's more about who you like. And in terms of class, the class doesn't matter at all. If you're talking about Lancer or Assassin Rider, it just doesn't matter. Any tips to roll for 100 Face? Because I don't have a copy of her, and I have MP2 Alter. So I'm assuming you like 100 Face, and you're like wanting to get 100 Face. Ultimately, it's just roll whenever, because she's in. The only time you shouldn't roll if you're trying to get 100 Face is don't roll on like White Day or something, right? Because she's excluded from that. But yeah, it's like if you're patient and you'd rather save up your SQ for like a 5-star, then you can just wait, because you can literally get her at any time. And you can also get her randomly out of FP. Now your odds of getting her out of FP are pretty bad, and it could take a long time to get her that way. You'll get her that way eventually, but it's going to take a while. Now if you're like, oh man, I really want 100 Face, then I would just roll anytime. Like literally, if someone's rated up that you like, just fuck it, roll for them. And if nothing is rated up that you care about, just do story, right? Maybe you'll get, you know, Bedivere or something. I would say if you are going to roll story, I would overwhelmingly suggest to people don't roll story until you beat Camelot, so you can get Bedivere. Unless you absolutely don't care about Bedivere, or maybe you have other sabers that are really strong, like you got Musashi or something and you don't care, then that's fine. But yeah, if you're going to roll story for some reason, I would do it after Camelot, just because Bedivere's that good. Yeah, she doesn't get many rate-ups, and now that you're on NA, she's not really going to get any rate-ups anytime soon. But thankfully, she's pretty easy to get even without rate-ups. It's more of a matter of time. It's hard to get a specific 3-star, but it's not hard to get 3 stars in general, if that makes any sense. It's just that there's so many 3 stars, it's kind of hard to control which ones you get in what order. But if you play the game, you're going to get them all eventually, aside from like the story-locked ones, limited ones. Oh shit, right. Saber did talk to me about that. I remember that, I just didn't remember the name. Yeah, I remember you telling me that it was like a Assassin's Creed game, but it had, you know, better depth in combat and stuff. And I was like, oh, that sounds nice. But I just forgot the name. Actually, that does legitimately sound nice. But yeah, I don't have a PlayStation 4, so. I did not forget that conversation. I absolutely did not. I just forgot the name of the game because welcome to my memory. I always summer BB at NP1. If you're wanting to use her, okay, Ari already got this covered pretty well. If you're wanting to use her as a damage dealer, it's not good. Like at NP1, she's just, her damage output is going to be sad, and she's literally not going to work as a damage dealer. However, summer BB is generally used as a support with the whole deck freezing, you know, and you combine her with like double scatty, and then you guarantee like double scatty with like brave chains on your unit and that kind of thing, right? Which is actually, it's funny, everyone acts like she's a unit that removes RNG, when she's actually a unit that adds a fuckload of RNG, because you need really good hands at really good times to capitalize on it. And she's really good with the switch Mystic Code, though, because you can switch her in when you see that you do have a good hand. Anyway, so all of her support stuff, which I would say is the main reason you use her, is totally fine at NB1, and it won't change at all. But if you like BB a lot and you're wanting her to, like, you know, be competent on her own and stuff, you're probably going to want to be higher than NP1. But if you're just wanting to use her, like, in a practical support sense, NP1 is fine. But yeah, she's going to hit like a wet noodle. Like, her damage is going to suck, because, like, she doesn't counterclass very often, and then she's AoE, and then she's, you know, not upgraded, and NP1, and it's not good. And her attack stat I don't think is that amazing either. Jolter just called Mev a stuck-up, evil, rich girl. I agree with this. I'm on board. that this is accurate. I'm tempted to level Jerker for Aussie since I don't have 100 face. Wait, I am so confused by that sentence. Am I missing something in this sentence? That basically sounded to me like I'm leveling Coup Alter because I don't have Geronimo, right? It's like there's no connection here. I'm confused. Are we talking about like? Oh, I think I got it. It's not from chat. I think I get it. I think you're talking about Ozzy the boss, right? That would make so much more sense. You're saying you would level 100 face to fight the boss Ozzy. Okay, that makes so much more sense now. Because when I first read that, I was just like, what? And see, now I have to listen to chat say what I just said, like chat telling me he's talking about the boss when I literally just described that. Every fucking stream, man. Oh look, we unlocked more main story. I can't believe I've only done 136k. Dude, fuck this event. We need 3 million. We need 3 million for this frick. Yeah, I don't know what's with the white border. I don't think that was a thing on JP. I may have forgotten, but I'm guessing it's just like a bug or something. I don't know. I mean, the event sucks. It's boring and it's long, and I want it to be over. There's an app update out to fix it. That was quick. I mean, it's not a big deal because, I mean, it's just a white border, like, whatever. I should probably download that though, because sometimes there's other, you know, bugs in there. All right, well, I think we'll wrap up there. I need to eat, oh man. But I'll try to get a bit more farming done before next stream, just because if I don't, we're gonna be so far behind. It's gonna be awful. So let's see. We're like. Oh my god, we're not even close. Like, if we look at our total points, we're a bit over 500,000, and then we need 3 million. That's rough. And see, you're like, oh, but you got 18 days. Like, you know, if you get this, you know, even half this much done every day, it'll be no problem, and that's true. The problem is, I don't want to be done. Normally, I'd be okay with that. Normally, I'd say, oh yeah, on NA, I don't have to rush it. I'll just, you know, if I'm done on the 18th day, good enough, right? Whatever. But I want to be done before the anniversary event starts. I don't want to be, seriously, I want this shit over. I want it out of my mind. I don't want to feel like pressured that I need to do it. I want to be able to just completely focus on whatever I want to focus on. If I want to make videos, I want to do some animation update stuff, you know, whatever. Like, I feel like I haven't made a video in forever. It feels awful. Like, I feel like I have not made a YouTube video in like a year, which is obviously not accurate, but that's what I feel like right now, so. Anyway, alright boys. Cairo is just ending? Fuck! I want to rate him anyway. I haven't rated him in forever. This is stupid. God. Anyway, let's see. I feel like every time we rate Cairo, we'll just, fuck it, we'll rate Cairo and he can just pass the rate on to someone else if he's done, so. I'm lazy. What do you want from me? Alright boys, y'all have a good one. Thanks for the heads up though, Ari. You tried. A good attempt was made, but he's already offline. Well, it's an offline raid, boys. Yeah, you did good, Ari, but dumb boomer green man just ignored you anyway, so. But alright boys, you have a good one, and I don't know if I may not stream tomorrow because this event is so fucking boring. I might try to edit something. There's not much to edit right now, but I got that Mordred video I need to do and stuff, so I don't know. I might do that. We'll see. We'll see. But peace.